please welcome my guest for today, Soya.
I think that was my cue.
Yes.
Hello. Yes. I was like, do I wait? Do I say something? Hello.
Hello, Soya. So happy to have you here today. As we can definitely tell from all of the emotes in chat, I'm guessing the vast majority of people here are already familiar with you, but for anyone who might not be, if you could introduce yourself.
Yes, hello. My name is Soya Poya. I'm a German giantess bean-loving VTuber, and I'm blue. Yay!
You are indeed blue. It's funny.
It's my one adjective.
So this is episode 100 and let me double check. I'm pretty sure it's 118. Yes, 118 of Vtuber Talk. I followed you a long time ago, Soya, and it sort of hit me. Why haven't I asked Soya to be on the show? I remember you from the Vroid days, the way back when.
Oh, yeah. I've been hello everyone. Hi chat. Hello guys. Yes, I've been streaming for a long time, I think. I remember watching your talk show stream with Moriko. And that was
yep.
Probably like 2 years ago. And
yeah,
I was
that's
like,
a while
cool.
back now.
Yeah, that was a long time.
But I'm really happy to have you here. Certainly better late than never. And that, you've continued to grow and you've had different models over the years. But the general aesthetic has always been the same, that you have always been blue. At least from every one that I've seen. There may have been one before, but as far as memory serves.
No, that's true. Yeah, I've always been blue. However, my last model had a little bit of a different hue of blue. It was more
slightly different shade.
Like purplish blue, and this one's more like teal. But it's okay. No one notices.
No,
it's okay. I don't think anyone has talked about it yet. The only complaints I've had is that, how does it make sense? How can you have blue and turquoise hair at the same time? I don't know.
Well, you're magical anime being queen giant. That's why. That's how.
Yeah.
Don't question
it. Exactly. Don't question it.
Now, very hard-hitting question here. I only ask the super, super serious, difficult things here on VTuber Talk. Do you have any favorite types of beans?
Beans? Favorite type of beans? Yes. Okay. So my very favorite type of beans are my beans here, the ones in the chat here on the left.
Oh,
these are the best.
Good answer. Well played.
And then to eat, my favorite are probably soybeans. I love soybeans. Oh no, kidney beans. Okay, kidney beans are probably number one, just because I like them so much. And then soybeans for their versatility. You have like tofu and soy sauce, all that stuff. And edamame, that's all soybeans. Yes.
Also, I forgot to thank some folks for the follow. So, Nayu Ni, Supernova, SA Version, I Hate Decaf 2, Soulflare, and Travak. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. Thank you all so much for the follows. Welcome in. I do enjoy beans of most types. The only type of beans that I actively dislike, and it is something that has become a bit of a ranting point for me here on VTuber Talk, is Bean Boozled, if you are familiar with that.
Oh, no. Oh my god, I hate those so much. Yes, I've tried.
I did that.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I first had Bean Boozled for my first anniversary charity marathon, and I'd never had them before. I'd seen others have them and was like, okay, I'm sure they taste not great, but whatever. They're just jelly beans. That's fine. And I initially had it for a $20 donation to charity that I would eat 3 beans, because they're just jelly beans. They're not filling or anything. It's not going to be that bad, and whatever. I'll maybe have a sour taste in my mouth. And oh my god.
No, those don't count. We don't claim those.
Yeah,
those are not claimed as beans. No.
Those are monstrosities that I have.
Disgusting.
A certain level of respect for the people who created them, because they succeeded in what they sought to create, which is the most vile eating experience I have ever had. A bunch of people redeemed them, and my stomach started to turn. I had to cancel that redeem for charity, because it was like, if this keeps going, I will become sick, and the stream will have to stop, and I don't want to do that. So for the second anniversary charity marathon, it was 1 bean for $200. It was like, okay, if you're going to make me do this, and a couple people did it. They did, for charity, some people went that far, but it was okay,
for charity. It
that
was probably just so that you had
I
to eat
hate
it.
this so much that I'm only going to do it if someone is ridiculous, and I had other things to incentivize
Mm.
the donations, but
Yeah,
it takes a lot to make me eat one of those now.
I think I did the same for like a year ago. I had a subathon, and one of the subathon redeems was also the Bamboozled challenge, where you like spin the wheel, and
Yep.
some of them were fine, like grass and soup or whatever.
That's
But
not bad.
some were so bad, and like I'm not that sensitive when it comes to food. Like there's a lot of stuff that I don't like, but I'll still eat it. But those, they legitimately, like, just smelling them made you sick. Like
Yeah,
whoever
it's
is like watches someone do a Bean Boozled challenge is like, oh, you're so sensitive. Oh, you're over exaggerating. You guys should pay for those. First of all, you have to buy them, okay? And at that point, I was in Norway. I'm still up, but I was in Norway, so I had to order them. It cost like so much money, and then you have these like really, really disgusting, whatever. I don't know. I don't know.
grass and soup sound fine. The ones that we had were dirty dishwater made me gag. The used bandage bean, I don't know how, but there was this warmth. You could feel it in your sinuses, in your nose.
Oh,
It's
sounds disgusting.
it's terrible. So
I had like booger and garbage and stuff like that.
I'm fine with basically any other type of bean, totally fine, but Bean Boozled, bleh.
Yeah, it was disgusting. Yeah, you guys should all try that. I think it's a good idea. Quick, say something like, "Oh, it was actually really nice. It was such a nice experience."
It was delicious. Those were just incredible beans. That they had the sweet, savory flavors. Amazing experience. Definitely, highly recommended. I'm definitely not under duress. I'm definitely not being threatened to say this right now.
No, I agree. Yes, sponsored by Big Bean. By the
Yes.
Bamboozled beans. So not bad after all. No, not at all. You should eat them.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Also, Moo, thank you very much for the follow. And yeah, vomit was among them as well. It was not good.
No, that's
But all
I don't
other
really
types of
remember
beans are
which
fun.
ones I had. Well, most others are fun. Yeah, those are not okay. But like I said, it's okay because we don't claim them.
Yes. But we do like all the beans here in chat. Really happy to have you all here. And of course, the queen herself, Soya, is so happy to have you. So you've been pretty busy this week, actually, that you've been playing a couple of different games. That you were playing Life is Strange. You were doing some different narrative games, I remember, and that you enjoy, in your own words, you've said just bad movies, bad stories, and that your playthrough there was a combination of playing it seriously, but also just kind of ragging on the writing and having fun with it there.
Yeah, well, I do take them seriously, right? I don't go into like a movie game, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna hate this. But so often, I don't know what it is about them, but they just... Life is Strange specifically, it's like a nice story, it's interesting, the characters are well written and whatever, but it is so cringely written. It's just, there's so much, there's a lot that doesn't really make any sense, and I'm still only at like episode 4, I think, so I'm not done yet.
They're telling an interesting story, but
yeah,
some of the dialogue is just a bit, I don't know if extreme is the right word or just blatant.
Yeah,
it's not subtle.
It's a little bit of this, like, you know, this is what I think. Like, even if I were to write like a story about teenagers, I would probably... Oh, there's a cat outside of my window. Wait, sorry. 1 second. Okay, sorry, there was a cat.
Please welcome to Vtuber Talk guest star Cat.
Cat. Yes. And then it's kind of like, you know, as if I were to write something aimed towards children. I don't really know what they use these days, right? Now I sound old. Hello, cat.
Yes,
Hello, cat. But
greetings, fellow kids.
Exactly. And I think with Life is Strange specifically, they do this thing where certain decisions that you are given don't really make any sense the way the story has progressed so far. So then it kind of takes you out. It's like, oh, this only makes sense if you already played through it and you figure out all the like secrets and stuff, you know? And that always, but it's still fun. I'm still having fun. Like it's just fun to rip on, and it's fun to talk trash about with chat, the beats, and I enjoy it. Otherwise, obviously,
good-natured
I wouldn't play it.
criticism, a little bit of ribbing that, you know, everything can have a little bit of constructive criticism.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's fine. A big cat, maybe. And I feel like before I started streaming, I was never into movie games because I was like, those aren't real. Those aren't real games. I need some action and stuff. But I've been enjoying them a lot because sometimes they talk too much, so then you kind of like you can't say anything because they keep talking. But most of the time, it's really fun, and I enjoy Life is Strange because it doesn't give you this like timed decision. I hate its timed decisions. That's so annoying. Don't stress me. I can pause anyways. So might as well. Why are you giving me a timed decision? Thought that was kind of annoying. In like games like Walking Dead, like Telltale games, they do that often.
Yeah, I feel like I understand why they have timed decisions in those types of games because it forces you to act more instinctively and to not hyperanalyze. But if you're streaming, that's not going to be super great for the experience because, like you were saying, not being timed allows you to have that chat interaction, or just if something comes up, I don't know, you get a raid or something in the middle of a really vital decision and you're distracted and you miss something, and then the entire plot just got upended because you were distracted for a minute, and that's not going to be super great. But like I was saying, for the writing purpose and under normal playing circumstances, it makes sense, but it makes you wish that they had a toggle for something like that in those games.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, it's fine. You can just pause. So I do that a lot. I also suck at making decisions. So sometimes I just let my chat make the decisions for me. And then a pause button comes in very handy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like movie games as well. I think they're very fun. They can be very fun.
There have even been games recently that have actually created Twitch integrations for that. Baldur's Gate 3 came out just over a week ago, and that's been one of the big things that chat has the overlay here in Twitch, and that they can actually vote on things. There have been others that have had different plugins where you can have votes, or people sometimes just do Twitch polls where you can say, all right, do you want to do choice 1, 2, 3? So it's neat as a viewer, certainly, and I have to assume as a streamer, to be able to have those options, those integrations, and just the interaction.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's nice. I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I feel like at least Baldur's Gate is one of the first like really big games that did it, where I haven't watched anyone use it yet, because I think at the same time it's kind of like you want to make your own decisions, but I think like anything with like Twitch integrations and stuff like that is very cool. And I hope it becomes even more popular. I think there wasn't a lamp. What was that game called?
Cult of the Lamb. I was going to say
Cult of the
one
Lamb.
of the other ones that
one was
ended up using
really
a lot of
too.
the integrations.
Yeah, where you could like the chat could have a character in the game even. I think that's very cute.
Yeah, that was I still haven't actually played Cult of the Lamb, but I watched a lot of it, and I feel like I really should get around to playing it, but I haven't played as many games in the past couple years.
I think, I played it. I think it was fine. It was cute, but it's kind of like, okay, if you like roguelites, or I personally felt like there was the roguelite part, and then there was the city building part, and I had more fun with the battling than I had taking care of these like really dumb animals, that would like eat rotten food and then puke everywhere and then like fight each other. I had more fun like going out and battling these monsters, so I think that's why I kind of dropped it. But I think it was really cute. It was very well made, I think so.
Yeah, it had a very neat style. Also, Flame, I'm not sure proper pronunciation, sorry, but thank you very much for the follow.
Hi Flame. But yeah, I like Cult of the Lamb. I remember when it came out though, it was a little bit oversaturated. I feel like sometimes a game comes out and then you can literally not find a single streamer that doesn't play it, and it kind of kills it for me a bit.
Yeah. Because a big game comes out and people are super excited to play it, and a lot of people are super excited to watch people play it, and that you will see it everywhere for a week or so. But at the same time, if you are not someone who is really excited for that game, or if you're someone who wants to play that game but is really trying to avoid spoilers, which is a place that I've found myself of when the latest Pokemon game came out, it was like, I want to experience this game for the first time, totally ignorant of what's going on. I don't want to know any of the plot. I don't want to know any of the Pokemon, where I find things. So there was a lot of people that I saw streaming was like, I want to tune into you, but I'm just not going to be able to do it this week because you're playing Pokemon and I haven't beaten the game yet.
Yeah. I think for me, what I do is like this is not really planned, but it kind of just happens that the beginning I always have like an hour of Zatsu, just chatting before my streams, and then when I start playing the game, if it is a new game, I barely play new games to be honest, but when I do, and then sometimes people are like, oh, I still want to play this, I still have to play this game, I'll be back next time. Yeah, and I think that's totally fair. And I have the same. I feel like in 2 weeks, Armored Core is coming out, and that's one of those games.
A lot of people are looking forward to that.
Yeah, and I bet. Oh, even with Baldur's Gate now, yeah, like Rocket said, like everyone's gonna play it, and then it's kind of like, okay, are you? I guess for me, at least most of the time, because I do so many different games and so many different genres, people are there not necessarily for the game, so then it's not that big of a deal. But I know some people, if they're like, okay, I'm gonna play Baldur's Gate like 20 hours every single day, and you don't want to watch that because you haven't played it yourself yet, then that's a little bit of a detriment. But on the other hand, it's like, oh, I'm not gonna play that game anyways, so I'm gonna watch this. I'm gonna live vicariously through streamer A.
Yes, that's how I've consumed most of my games of the past several years, of just watching people and being able to get it secondhand in that way.
But yeah, you just gotta play faster than the streamer. Just always be one step ahead.
I just need to get good, that's all.
Yeah, but I have also sometimes people where it's like a really old game. I don't know. I can't come up with an example, but even Life is Strange came out like 2012 or 2016.
Yeah, it is not a particularly new one.
I still have to play that. I can't watch.
Okay, statute of limitations, folks. If it's been 6 months, a year, that's kind of past the spoiler warning.
Yeah, but I mean, you don't have to watch it. Oh, Chrono Trigger.
Chrono Trigger.
I can't watch Chrono Trigger.
Brand new game, Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, you gotta be careful. It's very new. Very new. But I do get it. I also hate. I think I have one of the rules in my stream. I have don't spoil anything, like story-wise. Don't spoil anything, even if it's super old. Because I do play. Yeah, when I played Chrono Trigger, I had never played anything. I didn't know anything, and I had some people just. It wasn't a big deal, but there were definitely some people that had to hold back not to like spoil the story or the gameplay mechanics. So it happens often. So it spoils everything. Yeah, I spoil everything. It's one of my traits.
Yeah, it's part of how it goes. That everyone's favorite spoiling streamer.
Yeah, all the time. But yeah, I think for Armored Core, I'm probably not gonna play it, but I'll watch people. Definitely watch people play it, since I don't really know a lot about it. And I don't
know much about the series at all. I didn't know if I don't know if it has a particularly deep or continuous story. I just know it's fighting robots.
Yeah, I have no idea. I'm gonna be honest. I feel like it's okay. I think a lot of people that love like Elden Ring opened up the door for a lot of new people to the general From Software games, and I think a lot of people are gonna buy Armored Core and be like, wait a minute, this isn't like Elden Ring at all. So I'm looking forward to that already. The other people, they're like, oh, this is too complicated. I assume it's gonna be like a lot of text, a lot of mechanics that are kind of buried. I don't know, we'll see. But maybe it's like super fun for everyone. We'll see.
I know fans of that series have been waiting for a while. That I don't know exactly how many years it's been, but I know they haven't had a new game in that franchise for some time, so I'm very excited for them.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest though, I also think that like I've heard of Armored Core, but I don't know, I was never too deep into mechs. So maybe I will find some VTuber friend, some streamer that's playing the game, and I'll just watch them play. I think. I'm sure I'll find one between the like 100 people.
Well, there will be plenty, I'm sure.
Yes, I think so too.
But in terms of, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So in terms of Souls-like and FromSoft games, I do know that Dark Souls 3 is your favorite in that particular franchise.
Yes, I do love Dark Souls 3. I think objectively, I can understand how everyone has different tastes. But I think objectively, Dark Souls 3 is probably one of the best games. It just doesn't have any flaws. And anyone who says Dark Souls 1 is better is wrong. I've said this before, but it's just, I don't know. It's like Dark Souls 1, but it's more polished. Nina, run.
Nina, run.
Yeah, we
Uh-oh.
had this discussion. Uh-oh. It's a really good game. I love it a lot. And for me, it was one of... It came out when? 2016 as well. And it... I don't know. I love it. It doesn't have any flaws. It does have one flaw. The second DLC is kind of meh.
Is there anything specific about the game that sets it apart from you? Is it something about the story? Or are there any things that they refined with the mechanics?
No, well, I'm not directly comparing it to Dark Souls 1, really. I haven't even finished that one. I'm just saying that unless you don't like RPGs, you only like shooters or whatever, it's just good. It's just so good. It's like really, the world building is really nice. Or if you like story games, then you probably won't like it because, yeah, it has a story, but it's really difficult to find a story. But that's just how Souls games go. But I think it's just really fun. It's challenging, but not unfair. I feel like some Souls games are kind of middle fingery unfair. And
some Souls games are actively looking to be cruel, and that's part of the genre. I can understand that, but at the same time, I want an experience where it's going to be difficult, but not overly frustrating.
Yeah, and I think 3 is in that sweet spot where I think it's just one of the easiest Souls games, probably. And it's just, I don't know, I just like it so much. The design, the atmosphere, the visuals, the music. The music, it's so nice. I like Dark Souls 1 more. That's okay. It's okay to be wrong. But I mean, at the end of the day, obviously you can play whatever. But it's just very smooth, yeah, and it's not clunky. And I love it. I think it was one of those games I started playing it because at that point I was working at like video game electronics store, and my brother Bean actually wanted that game, but he didn't come over to like visit our family on that weekend. So he had pre-ordered it. I bought it, and I was like, okay, I have this game for the entire weekend. Might as well give it a shot.
Might as well.
Yeah, might as well. I think it was on the PlayStation 4. I had a PlayStation 4, and I tried it out, and I was never interested in Souls games before that because I'm really, really, really bad at directions, and I knew Souls games don't have maps, so I was always like, no, thank you, no, thank you. I was also a little bit like disinterested in it because of some of the fans. Because back then it was always like, but do you play real games like Dark Souls? And I was like, shut up, I don't care. But then I played it, and I played it the entire weekend. I did nothing else. I fell in love with it, and never. Still the best one for me personally.
That's always cool when you're able to sort of discover a genre, or rather discover that you enjoy a genre that you didn't necessarily expect to enjoy.
Yeah, totally. And now I also started being like, oh, you should play Dark Souls. So I guess I became one of them. Sad bunch, maybe too. But it's I think objectively speaking, unless you don't like, challenging stuff. I have tried introducing the game to some of my friends. My best friend, she plays games, but like mostly... more casual
genres.
games.
Yeah, if you enjoy puzzles, platformers, and RPGs, that Souls-like games are going to mechanically be very different and difficult. And that I remember I played Dark Souls 1 on a friend's Xbox 360. I think it was way back in the day. And I played it for an hour, and I was like, I am not enjoying this at all. This is just super difficult, and I didn't pick up another Souls-like game until a couple of months ago when I did a Elden Ring stream, which was one of the last rewards from my 2nd anniversary charity marathon, and I enjoyed it. I was not terrible at it. I wasn't great at it, but it was... I think part of it is probably Elden Ring being a bit easier than Dark Souls 1. Also, probably...
Maybe, I don't know. I haven't played that one that much. But maybe, yeah. And maybe just, you maybe also have more experience with games in general. But I tried introducing that one to her, and I got her through the tutorial. And I think she beat the tutorial boss. And then she was like, I'm never going to touch that again. Get out of my house. so it's okay. She's more like a Nintendo. She plays more Nintendo games and stuff like that.
Rocket Rumble, Animal Crossing versus Dark Souls. I don't know if
Yeah,
that's a
exactly.
specific crossover, but I'm curious, are there any genres or themes that you would like to see have a Souls-like game that haven't had one?
Oh, I do want like a cutesy Souls-like game. I mean, we have Nobita, Little Witch Nobita. That one is like cutesy, but it's not really. It's cute, but it still has this like really dready atmosphere. I played a good chunk of that game, and it's really nice. It's fun and everything, but it's just so dreary. Like everything's really dark. The music is depressing, and you have this like cute little witch kid running around and killing monsters, and it's cute. But I want something that is like super cute, you know? I want something that feels lighthearted and has this like cutesy anime aesthetic, and then you have it with Dark Souls and everyone dies. I think that would be really fun.
Now, when you say you want it to be
Diaries.
cutesy and have Dark Souls aesthetic, so is it that everything looks cutesy even if the plot itself is still dreary and darker, or would you want it to still somehow find a way to implement Souls-like mechanics while retaining a lighter tone even for the plot?
I don't really care about plot, to be honest. I only care about plot when it's like a plot game. But if it's just, you know, I'm there for the gameplay, then I don't really mind. But I feel like the general atmosphere in Nobita, the general atmosphere was just depressing, especially the music, the environments. It was all very dark and dreary, and I want something pastel-y and cutesy and moe all over the place, you know.
We've got some good suggestions. We've got some good suggestions in chat of Barbie Diaries, Hamtaro Souls, and I think the one that I'm most interested in that I think could work is Kirby Dark Souls.
Kirby's very cute, that's true.
To have that type of gameplay, and you have already an existing universe, quote unquote, and style there, and Kirby has plenty of big bosses, and if you put it in, you know, the open world setting, have him be able to, you know, copy different abilities and figure out the different weapons, that having those mechanics in a Kirby game, I'm not expecting it to happen. Don't get me wrong. I don't think it's going to happen.
No, I don't think it will happen.
But conceptually, it's very interesting.
Yeah, it is. But at the same time, I think like a 3D Kirby. Has there been a 3D Kirby? I'm not sure. But like a 3D third-person Kirby might be a little bit annoying because it's just like a ball the entire time. You look over his shoulder and it's just this pink blob. I don't know about that.
Yeah, not a proper third-person one. That there was a 3D Kirby for Kirby in the Forgotten Land, the recent one for the Switch. But that was still sort of, I don't know, not quite top down, but the camera's far behind you, not over
like
the shoulder.
Stylized 3D or
no? That it was 3D environment,
3D.
not actually. Okay. So it wasn't a side scroller like Kirby usually is, and it was actually a really good game. It still very much felt like a Kirby game. So if you enjoy classic Kirby, I definitely would recommend that.
I've only played one Kirby. I think it was like All-Star. Okay, so I asked chat, and I was like, okay, which one should I start with? Because there's like a million Kirbys, and I don't have a Switch, so I can play anything that's not Switch. And then I played All-Stars, and I think, or Ultra Star, I don't know. And it was just like a selection of mini games, and one of the mini games was amazing. I had a great time, but I had 3 levels, and then it was over. And the other mini games weren't that fun, so I was just kind of like, okay, now I had like an hour of fun with this game. But isn't there a real Kirby in this style? And I haven't found one yet, because I get a little bit overwhelmed. There's too many Kirbys.
Fortunately, Kirby really has no continuous story or lore. There isn't a bad point to start that you can pick up really any Kirby game, and it's going to be fine. But if you don't have a Switch, that will be a bit more difficult, because most of the things... Kirby was originally on Game Boy Advance, DS, and such. So streaming those are going to be difficult, in that they've ported a number to Switch Online, but again, you're going to need a Switch for that. But if you ever end up getting that, or finding alternate methods of play, that I do enjoy the Kirby series, and the games are shorter, usually longer than an hour, but most Kirby games, especially the early ones from the Game Boy, you can beat those in something like 3, 4, 5 hours, most likely.
Yeah.
Some of the more recent ones will be significantly longer than that, but they're certainly not going to be the length of a Souls-like.
Yeah, of course not. But yeah, I think I played Superstar and Kirby Dream Land 3. Yeah, I'll look into it more because I mean, right now I don't know about right now, but soon I want another like a platformer or something in my rotation. I don't know. Platformers are a little bit of a love-hate relationship for me. I really like them, but I also hate them. I don't know. I'm really bad at them. I think if there's one genre that I'm absolutely atrocious at, it's platformers. I don't know. Spatial awareness and just the finicky thingy. It's just I also play with keyboard, and then it's always like I'm not very good at it. But
yeah, that can be tricky, and it definitely varies. That platformers can be something as relatively easy as Mario, but then you have things like Celeste, which is just basically the Dark Souls of platformers, I would say.
yeah, I think I've played that one. I did enjoy it, but I don't know. This was before my pre-streaming time. I think once I started streaming, I became significantly worse at video games.
Uh-oh.
And I beat Celeste like it was fine. It was a little bit difficult, but it was not too hard. But I think if I played it nowadays, I would probably suck at it. Oh, I love Yoshi's Island. Yeah, I love that one. It's just I don't know. It's something about like it's not even like playing in front of an audience. It's just wanting to talk and wanting to incorporate, read out the chat, everything, right? And then your brain is just, yeah, I'm not good at platformers. I don't know why.
And platformers in particular are ones that you really do have to focus on, that unless you're just stopping in the middle of the stage, you can't not be looking at it. That you're not going to be able to bounce between the game and chat as easy as you can in something almost ironically like Dark Souls. That at least in Dark Souls, you're going to be having times where you're traveling, where you're walking around the map, or it's between fights, whereas there is no downtime in a platformer.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's true. And also Celeste specifically, you have to hold everything down at all times, right? Because there's these like jumping energy jumps and stuff where you have like this little, I don't even remember. It's been too long.
Things that I haven't actually played myself. This is one that I've just watched people play it enough to understand, all right, this is a very difficult game, especially when you get to the extra levels.
The extra level. It's really fun though. I think I enjoy it a lot. It's a little bit the story and dialogue is a little bit meh, but the atmosphere and like the game is really fun, and I think it's easy to pick up. I don't think it's that hard. I think it might look more intimidating than it actually is, if at least the way I remember it. But I'm still not gonna. I don't think I'll play it. Still, streamer brain debuff too strong for that one, I think. But yeah, platformer wise, I did really like. I think Yoshi's Island might be my favorite. That one, again, like one of those flawless games. It was a bit annoying at times, because it's it's a little bit more difficult than more recent Mario stuff. But I really liked it. It was so pretty and so creative. It was a very creative game, I think.
Yeah, so that's a franchise I've always been surprised we haven't gotten more of, because I didn't actually own an N64 growing up. I played bits and pieces of Yoshi's Island at a cousin's house. Never actually beat the game, but played some levels here and there. But everyone I know that has played the game really enjoyed it, and it seemed to do well. So I'm kind of surprised that it's not a series that they have really kept up with. I think we've had like one new Yoshi's Island in the past decade and a half.
I don't remember. Wasn't there one for the Wii U?
I think so, yeah. And barely anybody had a Wii U, so the sales on that probably didn't do well.
10 people? Yeah, that's true.
There were dozens of them.
Never. Yeah, at least dozens. Yeah, but the Yoshi Island, the first one, it still holds up though. So I think you can just play that one.
Yeah, such a good style too.
Yeah, it's super pretty. I liked it a lot. It's so cute, and the music's really nice too. And like I liked how not desaturated, but like how watercolory the art style was.
Yeah,
that's pretty rare. And I feel like this in general with all the Mario games. When I play them, I'm like, wow, this is so creative and so exciting, and why don't they do that anymore? I think it was Super Mario, they all have the same names, 3? That one was really good too. Even though I'm not even that deep into platformers, that one was also too hard at times, but just a lot of enemy variation compared to newer games.
Yes, definitely. And Mario 3, I feel like, was a big turning point for the series. That obviously the first one, it set everything up, and it was such a good game and historically significant too because of when it was released, that it was really one of the things that helped bring the industry out of the crash of '83. But Mario 3 just brought so many more things to the table mechanically, and the style and just graphic fidelity at that point in time was leaps and bounds beyond what it had been before. So it was definitely a big one then, and I think it holds up really well. But if you enjoy creative design and just different styles artistically, that's another reason why I say definitely try out some more Kirby games, because they usually have mechanical similarities, but sometimes they just go really off the wall, but it's always in a new creative way. And that there's Kirby's Epic Yarn, where he's turned into Yarn and he can't use his normal suck up and copy ability, and that you have to do a whole bunch of different things, but everything's made of yarn and it's really cute. And then there's one called Canvas Curse for the DS, which you're probably not going to be able to play because the touchscreen was super important, but he's turned into this ball and you have to draw things around, and it's different, creative, but just artistically pretty and cute and fun design. That Kirby is just such a innocent series in the sense of it's just looking to have fun, and it does occasionally have little bits and pieces of lore that are kind of dark, frankly, but at its core, everything about Kirby is just
messed up, isn't he?
Conceptually, yes.
He's a bit fucked up. Yeah, I remember that Epic Yarn. For what is that? That one?
That was for the Wii, I believe.
The Wii. Okay, that should work out. I have a Wii. But yeah, maybe I'll check that one out. I did not like. I haven't played it. Of course, I don't have a Switch. But the newest one, the Switch, the one, I did not like the whole idea with the car. I think.
Oh, mouthful
I don't
mode,
think it looks good.
I think it good gameplay.
Scary.
It looks weird.
It looks so scary. Him just like devouring that car, warring it. And he has like this pinkish like skin texture, right? So it kind of borderlines this like weird inflation. I'm not a fan of the war car.
Like I said, mechanically, it was really fun. I like what they did in terms of the gameplay, but I can also very much agree that the look is weird.
Yeah, I thought it looked very bad. It looks a lot better when you're playing it. Okay, well, I don't have a Switch, but if I ever get a Switch, I'll consider it. But yeah, I do like platformers, so maybe I'll give the Yarn one a chance. Sounds very cute. Wasn't there also Yoshi's Woolly World?
Yes.
Are those related or?
I don't think that they are related in terms of being like the same universe, but I have to assume that the success of Epic Yarn had a direct impact on the creation of Woolly World.
Yeah, okay. So maybe they were like inspired by each other.
Yeah.
It's yarn and wool. It's totally different, guys. Don't worry about it. It's very cute too. Okay, I see. Oh, that's cute. Yeah, I like cute games. I mean, I personally, I feel like I always struggle. No matter what, though, not even with games. Whenever someone's like, name me your top 3 favorite, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I have no idea.
Oh, it's so different. I generally don't ask ranking questions. I know I opened up with, all right, what is your favorite type of bean? That was a very specific reason that,
I was very much put on the spot there. That was very hard to deal with. Well, yeah. But when it comes to genres on video games, I think my favorite's probably just RPGs. But
do you have a preference for turn-based versus real-time RPGs?
I don't like turn-based. I actually really dislike turn-based. There are exceptions. I don't know. I think when I was a little bean, I was more open to that, and nowadays it's too slow for me. But I love Chrono Trigger, which is like a little bit in between, right? And I did love the older Final Fantasies. So I don't really know where I just like lost it, where I'm like, okay, because I like the older ones, but now if someone says, oh, play Octopath Traveler, for example, I don't really. Oh, Atelier, is that turn-based? Oh, okay. I've been playing a game and I've been really enjoying it, which is a turn-based. Okay, I forgot about that. Well, I'm thinking, when I think turn-based, I think this like, this very dry, you have like your little 4 characters on the left corner.
Classic Final Fantasy.
Yeah, I'm thinking 100% classic Final Fantasy. Okay, shut up. Don't Soya dot me, okay? Atelier, Sophie is not dropped. That one's different. That one is, I would say the battling is also not the main mechanic of the game, to be fair. So,
Yeah,
there's so much else going on. So even if I didn't like the battling that much, it's not the main part either. So I'm out of this discussion anyways. So I still win, and I'm still right, I think.
So you enjoy real-time RPGs then? Do you have any favorites in that genre?
Dark Souls, I guess. Is
well, I guess that's fair. That for me, that this is sort of opposite end of, you think of turn-based RPG as 4 people in a line, and when I think real-time RPGs, I'm still usually thinking, I suppose, more along the lines of whether it be like Dragon Age or a lot of JRPGs, and that Souls-like games sort of mentally for me occupy their own distinct genre that has RPG elements, but for me, I guess I don't quite think of them. I don't want to say that they aren't RPGs, because they are.
I guess I feel a little bit more exotic. Exotic RPG.
Yeah, that
they're not called Souls-like anymore, guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think
sparkling RPGs.
Sparkling, yeah, that's a good idea. I think, I do love all types of RPGs. Like I've been playing Witcher 3, which it's been a lot of fun. I love a lot of JRPGs. I love this, like the angst and the edge and all the sparkle particle effects. I mean, RPG, I guess, is a very big term.
It is, yeah. That's
because
very
like
fair.
Dishonored, for example, is also it's also an RPG. And that one is like completely different. I don't know. Too complicated. I like games that make me feel happy inside and that are decently difficult without that are annoying. There's a lot of games that I think are kind of annoying, and then those I don't like.
Yeah. Just balance and difficulty design is naturally going to be one of the most difficult things for any developer to do, because it's such a fine balance, and that different players are going to have different skill sets, and that you have to find the way to get, I suppose, the common denominator of, all right, what is that balance of making it so it's still difficult for some players, but not too difficult, not too easy for some, and that sometimes, I think that most games should have difficulty scales where, at the start of the game, you want to play easy, medium, hard, impossible mode. But I also acknowledge that takes more design space, so very tricky.
I think the problem with that is often that you have, this is the normal mode, and the hard mode, the only thing we're gonna change is the enemies are tankier. You know?
Just all right. Everything now has 4 times the HP and hits twice as hard.
I think that's really lame. I think it's nicer I personally think it's nicer if a developer is like, okay, we have this one mode and this is how you're supposed to play it, and we have a second mode if you suck, if you have, I don't know, it's more disability friendly, or you want to just kind of cruise through it. But if there's like 5 different modes and the higher ones are just, we made them way more tanky, and the lower ones are like, you can literally not die, at that point, I don't know, what are you doing,
I think the sweet spot is normal mode, which is, like you were saying, all right, this is how the game is supposed to be. The narrative mode is what I'll call it, for what you were describing of, all right, if you're not very good at games, or if there's an accessibility issue, or if you just want the story and you want to be able to progress around, that you're going to be able to effectively treat this as a visual novel at that point, that you have that mode. And then after you beat normal mode, that you unlock a third difficulty, which either, if that's just increased stats, or if they do something more unique in the design. But I can agree to having sort of the 2 base modes there.
Yeah, I think New Game Plus
New Game Plus.
Fun. But at the same time, I also feel like if the normal mode, like the non-easy mode, is hard enough, then you don't really need it to be harder, because most of the time, harder is just okay. Well, there's an exception, like DMC type games, right? Those often have like, okay, don't get hit a single time. That is kind of fun, but that doesn't. I don't think that's like, you don't have to play that in order to experience the game properly, right?
That's fair. That's very fair.
But very often I feel like they go the lazy route. I remember this with God of War. I think the first one of the new ones. I played it on hard, and it was just they were so tanky. Like a normal guy, a normal dude with blue head in the tutorial area, you had to hit him like 34 times. And
It's like,
just,
why does it take more hits to kill rando enemy number 1 than it would take
Yeah.
for them to kill a god?
Yeah, exactly. I don't like that. Yeah. Division. I don't remember that. Yeah, spongy, exactly, that's the word. They become very spongy. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's the developer's job. They can do whatever they want, right? And I'll play it the way I want to play it. And
Yeah, as long as the normal mode, the base mode, is good, that
yeah,
the rest I consider nice to haves. That it's always good to have options. But yeah, if you have the one main mode and at least it's not egregious in that main normal difficulty, that's the baseline.
yeah, exactly. Oh, and then you asked about Tales games. I have played. Okay, so I played Tales of Exilia, I think it was. I think it was PlayStation 2 or something. I'm not sure. They all sound very similar.
Yeah,
and I enjoyed that
difficult
one.
names.
But then I remember, so I never had, I didn't really have a PlayStation, like a PlayStation 3. I had an Xbox 360. I didn't have a computer until very late in my life. And I remembered I really wanted a PlayStation just so I could play like some Final Fantasy games and Exilia. That was like I wanted the console primarily to play Exilia because I had such high expectations. So I bought a PlayStation 3 and I pre-ordered and bought, I think it was Tales of Zestiria. I don't know. I think it was Zestiria. And it was a terrible game.
Oh,
super buggy on
no.
release. Super buggy. Like really dead, really empty. And I was very upset. And there was this like really weird pseudo, I don't know, I don't even want to talk about it. But this was like two times in my life I have been burned by pre-ordering. And that one was one of them. So I gave it back like 3 days after, and then 1 week later I sold the PlayStation 3. So that didn't last very long. I sold it. It was gone again. So I'm not a fan of Tales anymore, no. Although I do think the older ones are probably good. I haven't played those.
I have not actually played a Tales game in its entirety. I played a tiny bit of Tales of Symphonia. I have some friends that swear by that game. It's just one of those series that I didn't really grow up with, and I know a lot of people love it, and I just sort of missed the boat.
I think, yeah, but I mean, you can always try. You know, I am also willing to try the older ones at some point, but I'm not willing to try the newer ones for a while, I think. Arise, I don't know which one.
They're also just
there's
really
too many
long games is the thing.
Oh yeah, I guess. Yeah, a lot of JRPGs are like that. I think, for example, Xenogears and Dragon Quest, those are games like I really, really, really want to try them. But especially because I mostly play games on stream, I don't know if I'm willing to play a game where I'm like, okay, this is going to take 120 hours.
Yeah, we're going to have to be doing this.
It's going to be 3 years.
Yeah, that if we play this once a week, it's going to take us half the year to get through the game.
At least. Yeah. Dragon Quest
Peak 4 dudes.
Okay, maybe not then.
That is going to be the phrase that I use to describe RPGs of that style of just 4 dudes in a line RPGs.
Yeah, you can always drop it. See, that's the thing. I was already called out earlier. I struggle a lot with finishing games on stream. I don't know, because I lose interest, or, you know, I'm having a nice time, and then at some point I just don't like it that much anymore. So I've been trying. But that also kind of, like, I've been trying to actually finish games, but at the same time, if I'm not enjoying it, I'm not going to force myself, right?
Yeah.
But it's kind of put me into this mentality that these days when I pick up a game, I'm like, I have to finish this game, I have to like it, right? So I only start playing games that I know pretty, like, I'm 90% sure I'm going to enjoy it.
That you're being a bit more deliberate with your game choice, because you want to be confident that if somebody tunes in, they get invested in it, that they're going to have that payoff, that they're going to have that resolution and see you go through the whole game. Because, yeah, it is a bit disappointing if you tune in and you're really excited to see your favorite streamer play a game and then they drop it. But at the same time, for you, obviously, it is the correct answer to stop playing a game if you're not enjoying it.
Like, I've never forced myself, but I've become a little bit more and I think it's a detriment, like it's a bad trait, become like a little bit more scared of picking up new games. Because the other day I played Atelier Sophie for the first time like a couple weeks ago, and I don't remember. I think I mostly played it like I wanted to play it as a joke. I wasn't like not as a joke, but I am beside being a giantess and blue, I'm also an alchemist, and I was like, okay, I have to play an alchemist game at least once. So I was planning on only playing it for a single stream to have like this little bit, right? But then I fell in love with it, and now I've been playing that for weeks. So I think I have to. My goal for this year is just being a little bit more open to games that I wouldn't usually play. Like I wouldn't usually play a turn-based RPG, but then I really enjoyed that one. Or I was never really interested in Witcher 3, but then I decided to give it a chance anyways, and I liked it. So maybe I don't hate video games.
Soya, liking games? What?
No.
Who is this?
Crazy. She's swishing. Yeah, I keep killing the little slimes. I think Atelier is a really cute franchise. I've been enjoying it a lot. And it's very aesthetic to pleasing.
Yeah, that's been a cool one to see come out. And I know they actually had an anime of it recently. I haven't heard much about it, but I know they did.
Yeah, I haven't watched it. I feel like those, I don't know if it did well, but those always like kind of go under my radar. Riza, yeah.
Yeah.
The best part of Atelier is barrel. It's true. It's true. It's very good.
Anime adaptations of games certainly can be hit or miss, as are most things for video game adaptations. That we've had a couple of good video game movies come out over the years, and more than a couple not so good video game movies come out over the years.
Ones, though. Yeah, I think wasn't there a Nier anime? Did anyone even watch that one? I feel like everyone watched one episode of the Nier Automata anime, right? And then it was like one-to-one kind of the cutscenes from the game, and then no one talked about it anymore.
That seems
I have no idea what happened to that.
That understandably, if you're making an anime adaptation, well, what are you going to do? It's going to be adapting the scenes, which is usually the cutscenes. And I agree with who is it that said Nina said that those games are aimed at the fans, that they want to be able to relive the story that they know already and just see it in higher fidelity, animated well, and that they're going to have to usually go through things really fast for runtime, because trying to condense a 100-hour game into what is a runtime of 3-4 hours is going to be really difficult, and that you're not going to be able to do all the exposition and everything, and something has to get cut along the way, and that it can be good, it can be okay, and sometimes it can be an entry point for people who aren't familiar with it, but at the same time, it can be tricky.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know anything about the Nier one. I think I watched one episode, and then I was kind of like, this isn't for me, I think. But I also never really played Nier Automata. I think it's maybe my third game I've ever played on stream. And I got motion sick and dizzy and lost the entire time, and I dropped it. So it's one of those games that maybe one day I'll pick up again, because I know it's well loved, and I love the atmosphere, and the girls are cute, and the OST is really nice. But it made me so motion sick. I don't know if anything has changed since then. Maybe.
Moo and Sleep Monster mentioned Cyberpunk and League of Legends Arcane, which, like Sleep Monster mentions, they were both original stories, and I think that's really where the most potential lies for adaptations, where you have the world and you can place your story in the same continuity, but you are not going to be bound by the expectations of whatever the game's story is necessarily, that you're not trying to recreate something, you are adding something, you are adding context, side stories, something new, whether it be the characters that you know either as sort of a sequel, side story, prequel, or I think it's even better to do new characters or some of the minor side characters and to be able to flesh them out, because I definitely enjoyed both Arcane and Cyberpunk Edgerunners, and hope to see more things like that. And at the very least, I feel like we've actually entered a really strong age of game adaptations, because the Sonic the Hedgehog movies were both delightful. The Super Mario movie was really, really good, certainly making up for 1993, I think it was. We'll talk more about that one later.
It was great.
But That
Yeah, wasn't there also the Last of Us series? Wasn't that one? I haven't
Yeah.
played Last of Us. I haven't
I
watched
haven't
the show,
either.
but I think that one was really well received as well, right?
Yes, that
So
Last of
we're
Us is not a
definitely doing
series
better
that I'm into,
these
but I've
days.
heard good things about it for sure.
And then there was The Witcher. I don't know if that one was. I don't know what happened to that one.
Well, so that one did really well, and the lead actor stepped down and has been recast, so everyone's going into the next season being really skeptical. So
That's
it
so
remains
weird,
it remains to
recasting.
be seen how that will go, and that
Okay.
I hope people give it a chance, because I feel bad for the new actor that, he's stepping into this role and he's getting a chance, and it's a good role and a good job, and I want him to be able to succeed, and I hope that he's not just dead on arrival of everyone is so stuck in the mentality of the original actor that they're not even going to give him a chance. I can understand the fans being like, okay, how's this gonna go with the recasting? That skepticism, I think, is perfectly reasonable, but I hope they give it a fair shake.
Yeah, they could. I mean, I haven't watched it at all, so I have no opinion on the Witcher series.
Yeah, same.
But in general, like, replacing actors is always very difficult. But if he doesn't want to do it anymore, he can't do it anymore. Then it's just how it is. But I think I don't know if I've seen like a main character. Like, often you see side characters being replaced and they just don't talk about it, right? They just ignore it. The main character, the face of the show, that's pretty crazy.
It is definitely a rarity.
And stuff. Yeah, totally.
And that usually if there is something like that, it's either because either the person passed away, if it was an older character, or if something happened legally that the person was revealed to have been a not good person, and they recast it, and then fans were like, okay, we totally understand this had to happen, and that's one thing. But when it was, from my understanding, I think it was sort of a combination of like creative differences and scheduling, and that's this sort of weird middle ground of, okay, we don't really know what's going on. And like I said, I hope the best, generally just for the fans, because I want them to be able to have something that is good, and that for people who are looking to discover The Witcher, because it's such a successful series, that hopefully it goes well.
Yeah, I'm sure it's another one of those very fine shows. I don't know. I'm sure it'll be okay, because at the end of the day, the actor doesn't define the show.
Yeah.
And if Flamme said was a side character anyways, maybe he wasn't even that important, so then it won't be that big of a deal. But I don't know. Which are oftentimes with the video game movie, or I do like video game movies. Have you watched the Monster Hunter movie? The one
I did not.
Like
I heard that one was not good.
It was great. Okay.
It was? now, was it a great bad movie, or was it an actually good movie?
It was amazing. Okay, so maybe it wasn't like good, but
after our discussion of being boozled and everything earlier, I don't know what to believe anymore, Soya.
Well, one thing is like maybe it wasn't what people expected, but it was better than most video game movies, and it was very enjoyable. There were some parts, like, I've only played the some PSP Monster Hunters and World, so those were like my two connections to the series, to the franchise. And what I thought was really cool, what they did in the movie, they made the monsters have like these animations exactly 1-to-1 like their animations in the video game. And that's so cool.
Okay, I appreciate
And for that at all, I think it's great. You have to ignore the first hour.
Isn't it an isekai technically?
I have no idea. But the first hour they do this like weird horror stuff almost, where they try to make like, I don't know, spoilers. I don't think you'll ever watch it, so I'll spoil it for you. Okay,
not. Go right ahead.
Okay, so I think the first hour, the main character and her group of, I don't know, military mercenaries, whatever, they end up in this nest, and it's like this really creepy. It's kind of like that scene from Lord of the Rings where they like, there's like the spiders and stuff. And they like stuck everywhere, and it's kind of creepy. And then suddenly it switches. There's like this martial artist character that I don't know. It's so good. and then the dragon monster come, and then it's good again, and the fight scenes look good, and then it just kind of ends. Um, it's just
Maybe that'll be
maybe we
one
should
to
watch
watch
it.
sometime with friends when we're having a drink or something.
Yeah, yeah. I thought it was kind of good. I thought it was good, but not good. And the plot was really bad, but it was still good. I think. Yeah. Don't worry about it.
It wasn't good, and the plot was bad, but it's still good. Yes.
Yeah, it was very good. I think it looked really good too. I think.
Yeah,
Like the
visually,
special effects were good.
yeah, it was still a AAA Hollywood production. They put a lot of money into it. I don't think they made a lot of money back, but
Yeah, I think it died. It came out like right when, not when COVID started. It came out like Christmas after COVID started.
didn't it? It got just
So
sort of.
it didn't get into cinemas. And then I think what they did is you could buy it from Amazon, but it was supposed to come out on, I don't know, the 24th, and it just didn't come out. They didn't give any like release press. I couldn't find any press release or anything. Like it was scheduled for 24th or whatever, and it just didn't come out. And then 2 weeks later, it just kind of fizzled out, and they're like, "By the way, the movie's out now." It was really strange. So it was dead. It was actually dead on arrival. So I still had a nice time.
Yeah, I'll have to check
And
that
I
one
think
out.
everyone should watch it. Yeah, totally. It's a good movie. I love good movies.
Yes, good movies like The Golden Compass.
Oh yeah, the Golden Compass. Yeah, I talk about the Golden Compass a lot. I think it's everything everything I love in cinema is in the Golden Compass. It's a really good movie, and I think everyone should watch it. It's the best movie. See, everyone agrees with me. It's the best movie ever made. It's one of those movies where they have like a shit ton of funding and everything, and a ton of A-list actors, celebrities in it. They had like Nicole Kidman, Daniel Craig, Ian McKellen, the guy that played Saruman. They have like a lot of people, and it's unironically one of the weirdest paced, terribly executed movies I've ever seen. It even got an Oscar.
For the
Can you
visuals, I
imagine?
believe.
Yeah, for the visuals. And then it had a sequel bait, and like they set up. I love when movies set up a sequel really hard, but you watch it and you already know they're never gonna get a sequel.
This isn't gonna happen.
I'm looking forward to the sequel. I think it will come out. Yeah. But yeah, I love the type of movies. I enjoy good movies too, but I really enjoy movies that kind of leaves you scratching your head, but in an entertaining way. Because sometimes in the Bean Discord, we also watch just bad movies, and those are mostly boring or mediocre movies, where just nothing happens. It's kind of lame.
I think that's the true worst type of movie.
Yeah,
The worst
that is
type of movie
boring.
is boring and forgettable, and just it's not even so bad that it's memorable, but it's, oh yeah, I saw that, I think. I can't remember anything about it, but I think I saw it.
Yeah, funny bad. It has to be funny. There's Artemis Fowl. Yeah, have you seen the Artemis Fowl movie?
I have not. I didn't read the series, the books growing up either. I had a couple
It's
friends
okay.
who
You
loved
don't
it,
need-
and from what I can tell, it just didn't do well. I don't know if it was so bad that it was disgusting bad, or if it was just
No, it's really
unremarkable.
good.
Because I feel like I heard about it being released, and then I didn't hear anything about it at all. I didn't hear anything good or bad. It just sort of disappeared.
Yeah, the reason people don't talk about it is it's because it's a masterpiece, and they don't want to spoil it for you.
Oh, yep, they're trying to be hipsters, and they don't want it to go mainstream. They want to make sure that
they want to gatekeep this amazing movie. You should totally watch it. Everyone should watch it. It's really good.
It has actors and also conversations and stuff. Oh man.
Yeah.
Definitely sounds
really
like
good,
something I have to
actually.
go out of my way to see. Conversations and stuff. Not every movie has that.
Yeah, I don't know. It was very fun because it was I have read the books, but it was a very long time ago, so I didn't really remember. But I remember the gist, and the gist is that the main character is like this criminal mastermind. It's this child, but he's very, very clever, and that comes across the books where you're like, huh, I wouldn't have thought of that. And then in the movie, he doesn't do anything, not a single time. He does anything criminal or mastermindy ever. And then at the end, like the last 10 minutes, he says on the phone, he's talking to someone, and then he's like, I'm Artemis Fowl. criminal mastermind, and then he like slow-mo walks away.
Oh yeah, only cool guys call themselves criminal masterminds.
Yeah. So yeah, I love that movie. It's great. It's very cool. And he has sunglasses on. It's true. Artemis Fowl is so dumb. So yeah, those type of movies I enjoy, but it has to be the right spot of not boring and just funny. Bad.
Mhm.
Yeah. I also
Yeah.
like good movies though. Like uh you know, all of those good movies that
Yeah. Oh yeah, these good bad movies. Artemis Fowl, Monster Hunter. Yada yada. I also like good movies. Which were they again?
I've seen some good movies, I think. I've seen some. I watched a movie the other day. Okay. I got Golden Compass. Yeah, let's go back to that one. No, I watched oh my god, I really can't think of anything. Oh my god. One of the Quentin Tarantino movies I watched once. That was good.
One of them. Not sure
Yeah.
which one, but
Yeah, I've watched movies. I have to be honest, I'm not really into movies that much. Maybe it's obvious, but I don't know. I it's not enough time for me to like 100% get invested. There's exceptions, of course, but oftentimes I'd rather watch a short show or read a book, read a manga, or watch an anime than like actually watch a movie.
yeah, I can understand that. Movies are fun one-offs, but you're right that they have to keep things pretty brisk, and the pacing ends up having to be something where they can't go super deep with all the characters and with the world building because they have to have a runtime of really at most 2.5 hours. And if you were to break that into episodes for a TV series, that's going to be 8 episodes or something of a TV series, maybe, assuming it's, half-hour runtime. And that's,
Yeah.
with commercials, it's not going to be a lot. So it's going to
Yeah.
be shorter than a season of anime. It's certainly going to be shorter than a manga or any given game in terms of plot.
Yeah, and I think also often movies that like get adapted by from books, right? Or not often, but sometimes, and those are always very disappointing because the authors don't really have that much control over the material, and it's more like a licensing thing. And books just don't translate good to movies, I think, like the Golden Compass has shown and
Yeah.
Artemis Fowl.
It
just
definitely
doesn't
varies.
work.
That
Yeah,
and
and
I think some have gotten better over the years because you're right, especially farther back, the amount of creative control that original authors would have would be minimal. I feel like that's something that is becoming, it's increasingly common now for writers to retain a level of creative control, or at the very least, a level of approval to say, okay, yes, I am okay with you doing this and putting this out because it is still my IP.
yeah. But
it still
sometimes they
ends up-
just buy it off,
Yeah,
and they,
sometimes.
all they get is the names and a check,
Yeah.
and then your imagination always wins out. Yeah, but I think very, very often I see this, especially with like more slice of lifey movies, where later on you're like, oh, that was based off that book, and then you look up that book and it's just completely
It's like, oh, this is
different.
wildly different.
Yeah, it's just a completely different story, different pacing, different characters, very often different characters, or different ends even. So I don't really get that, but yeah, I think books are probably more it's better for like shows like Game of Thrones or whatever in that regard.
Yeah. I think it's also interesting that really in the past 10 years or so, with the advent of streaming, that there's just more options in how to adapt things. That it used to be, it was either going to be a movie, or if you were really lucky, that the number of TV series adaptations of books or existing content was very, very low. That usually what you're going to see, at least in the United States, for TV and for Hollywood productions, that you didn't really see those types of adaptations going to broadcast. But then when streaming became a thing, that you're able to see a lot more of those because they're no longer constricted by the broadcast day. Because when it was broadcast, you have a finite amount of content you can put out. It is the number of hours in a day times the number of channels. And that, a third of those hours aren't going to be usable anyways because it's the dead of night and everybody is asleep. And
Yeah,
then
it's true.
they need to be really calculated and efficient with, all right, what is just the broadest, most mass appeal show thing we can do? And that's usually not going to be a book adaptation. But when you have streaming and people aren't being restricted by the number of hours per day times the number of channels, and it's just people watch what they want when they want, now we have things opened up to stuff like Game of Thrones, like Cyberpunk, where you can do more niche content, and that as long as the budget and everything is practical, that you just put it up there on the platform and here you go.
Yeah, I think for like the beginning of what you just said, I was like, streaming? What do you mean? I kept thinking of like Twitch streaming. I was
No,
like,
no,
what's
sorry.
he
I'm
talking about?
I'm talking like,
No, I get it.
Hulu, Netflix, and
Yeah,
such.
yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. There's just way more media being adapted. There's way more. It's just more, right? It's way
There's
more of
more
an audience.
places
There's
for it
more
to go.
people watching it. Yeah, more people funding it. More investors. More everything. I feel streaming is great and everything, but I do hate the trend of releasing a show in its entirety. I hate that. I like an entire season. I love watching stuff weekly, like talking with people online or even with friends about what happened in one episode and then the next episode and waiting for a week and being like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? And I hate that Netflix specifically like just fucking shoots it out all at once and takes away any type of tension that could be built.
I very much agree as a viewer that I love the weekly pace for the exact reasons that you just mentioned, and that unfortunately it seems we're actually in the minority there, because a lot of the different decisions that go and stuff like that is based on data, and that statistically speaking, the average viewer is more likely to binge a show than to keep up with it for 10, 12, however many weeks. That over time people get distracted, people get out of the habit, people forget. It's much easier for people to say, okay, I'm going to set aside a day, a weekend, and basically treat it as I'm watching a couple of movies. And that just statistically, I think that more people end up watching, and that, these companies have to have the data, don't they? That if it wasn't working, that if they had the numbers that said, okay, this is obviously wrong, that they would change it. And unfortunately for us, it seems that that's not the case.
Well, maybe they. I don't actually know. I mean, Omega is saying maybe they've stopped doing that as much. I think for me, it's with anime. I'm also a binger. Like I like binge watching. I think with anime, particularly, I don't really like watching weekly. But with shows that are like an hour long, I enjoy watching weekly, because I think there is a big difference, right? When you're watching something and it's an hour long, you have a lot of time. A lot of things can happen. Then you wait a week, and then all this tension builds up. But when it's an anime, sometimes you watch 20 minutes, literally nothing happens. Maybe it was even a filler episode, and then you just sit there and you're like, wow, okay, thanks. And then you have to wait another week. So anime, I only binge mostly. I mean, there's been exceptions, but I've almost never watched weekly anime. But I feel like those 1 hour long shows that come out a lot, I think those are more fun when you actually have to wait a bit and some stuff goes, some of the emotion goes up, and I think that's more fun. Oh, generally speaking, I probably am also a binger, but I wish if you're a binger, you can just wait. Just wait a little bit.
The tricky part then becomes avoiding spoilers.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm spoiled in a different way, but I personally have never really had issues with spoilers. But I guess kind of depends what circles you are around. You know, if you're on a movie discussion forum and you don't want to be spoiled, then okay, you can't even go there anymore.
I've learned how to avoid spoilers really well, actually, and that unless something has somehow gone super mainstream, that I'm usually able to actually stay away from that type of information, even for months on end if I'm behind on something.
Yeah, but I mean, I ended up watching a lot of the Game of Thrones like right after the finale aired, or like a bit after that aired, and that's the first time I actually watched it, and I knew nothing about it. So sometimes you can manage, but I can also understand. Yet sometimes it's also like the moment you click on Twitter or YouTube or whatever, you get spoiled. So I cannot. YouTube's thumbnails spoil you. Or what I hate sometimes, I want to look something up about like an actor. I think it was some random show. I don't remember. And I just wanted to look up like a voice actor or something. And it's like, blah, 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 dies episode 12 just came up in Google. That was really annoying. It's okay. Yeah, my memory is also really bad. That's true. I forget everything. I enjoy rewatching shows that I've enjoyed at some point every 3 years, because after 3 years, it's like the point where I've forgotten literally everything. So maybe that is the difference between people that are good at spoilers and bad, because they just forget about it.
For me, it varies. That sometimes I see something and I look away and I'm like, forget it if it was brief enough. But sometimes I see it and my brain registers, oh, this is a spoiler, dang it. And then it's ingrained in my memory because I know I didn't want to see it, so I remember it. And by trying to forget it, I can't.
I remember this about Attack on Titan. Okay, can I spoil Attack on Titan the first season, guys? I'm gonna take
first season, fine. Don't spoil the ending, because I watched the anime, haven't read the manga, so not the last part, but first season's fine.
Just the first season.
Yeah, that's
okay. I took off my sprout, and now I'm spoiling. Once I put my sprout on again, its spoiler is over.
I love that you have that system.
Yes, it's a very, very deep part. Okay, so I don't really remember the show. Okay, it's been years. I've only watched the first season. But I remember spoilers! I was watching it on a normal website where you watch shows, and then there were comments. And one of the comments just was like, Eren is a Titan or something, right? Like in the second, third episode. I don't remember. Something like that. Like spoiled something important. Right? And I read that and I was like, that doesn't make any sense, right? And I thought it was just someone joking. So I got like this really major... Yeah, I got this really major plot point spoiled, but I didn't even believe in it.
You didn't know it was a spoiler because you thought it was a joke.
Yeah, I thought it was a joke, and then I kept watching it, and then obviously it actually happens in episode 8 or whatever, and I'm like, wait a minute. That was so weird. And then I thought about like, why would they do that, right? So they must have watched the episode, then they went back to one of the early episodes just to comment a spoil. But hey, at least for me it didn't work.
It's such an abrupt thing. There's no way that you could predict that going in. That I understand sometimes they're foreshadowing certain things, and someone might say, "Oh, I think such and such. Here's a theory." Really but that particular plot point, the way that it happens, is not something you could really predict. Or like, if you did predict it somehow, I'm very impressed, because even now, looking back on it, there's no indication with the amount of information that you have at that point in time that you have to sort of make multiple assumptions before you can get to Eren is a Titan.
Yeah, I really don't remember, to be honest. It's been years since I watched it. I just remember this
I will encourage you to go back and continue it, that I have really enjoyed, and that they're finally near the end. Though I will complain about their numbering system.
Yeah, that is really stupid. Okay, I'll put my sprout back on. No, I do not fumble this system. I'll put it back on, okay? Okay, it's back on. Okay, now I'm not spoiling anymore. They're Titans in an Attack of Titan? What? Yeah, I do want to watch it at some point, but I think I was just waiting for it to be finished. So I'm gonna wait a little bit longer. And then I'm gonna probably watch it, I think.
And unfortunately, it is near the end. I think they have basically 1 or 2 more installments, and that for the last bits of it, they're doing what is effectively mini movies. And it's really weird because they had final season, then there was final season part 2, and then there was final season part 3. And now it's final season, the final chapters, and they're like longer
the
OVAs.
End, for real.
Trust me, guys, actually for realsies this time.
I think when I saw that first, I also thought it was a joke.
Yeah,
like, you know, whenever you see something and you're like, you think it's a joke, you just don't believe it. That happens a lot. That's how I deal with anything negative. Whenever I see anything negative that's like kind of rumbles me, or especially on Twitter, kind of like a bad take that makes me angry, I always am like, that's not real. I just walk away.
Heck, that's even timely. There was a whole crazy thing on Twitter just yesterday where it was somebody making a joke, but it was played as serious, and just the classic. Wait a minute, that's bait.
Yeah. Okay. So for you guys who haven't seen, like, a VTuber made like a little infographic, and it said, collaborates. If you want to collab with me, per hour it costs $200. If you want a shout out, costs $150 extra, something like that, right? If you see it, you immediately think, oh, that's a joke. But then the way the person delivered that joke, you're kind of like, that's real. In my brain, I was immediately thinking, that's not real, it's a joke. But a lot, it didn't read as a joke, and a lot of people got upset. So yeah, whenever I see something and I'm about to get upset at it, or even say something, I think, no, that's not real, and then I just ignore it.
Honestly, I think that's a very healthy mentality.
It's so healthy. I see so many people so angry at all times. Just ignore it. Act as if it's not real. Yeah, I hope I can have $300 after this collab's over. Thank you very much.
I told you not to mention that on air, so
okay, sorry.
The bank transfer is already going through. Don't worry, it'll be in your account tomorrow.
Good. That's fast. Yeah, especially when being online. Like, in real life, I take things seriously, but if it's online, I think there's too much stuff that makes you angry. If you take it all seriously, you're gonna your brain is gonna start to hurt a lot. So I don't like doing that. I think I had one spoilery situation. I was playing The Wolf Among Us. It's a Telltale game. And I'm not gonna spoil it, obviously. But it's a murder mystery, right? So obviously the mystery is who's the murderer. And I had a member in chat that had just joined for the first time and was being like very backseaty, and I'm not really, I don't really mind backseating, but it's a bit annoying in like a story game, right? So I told them off. I said, stop it. And they kept doing it. So I timed them out, and I think then I banned them. First of all, they joined the Discord. I think they posted the murderer's face in the Discord. Then they DM'd me on Discord, because my DMs are open. And then they DM'd me on Twitter, also with the picture. Then they answered under my Go Live post on Twitter with the picture, was like, this is the murderer.
Wow, that is clearly a normal and well-adjusted person.
But the best part was they never actually said the name. They just said, this is the murderer. So obviously when I saw it in my pop-ups, I didn't click on the picture. Like, I'm not that dumb, So I never actually got spoiled, even though he tried to pull different types of memes. He was not even able to actually spoil it. Because who gets a message on Twitter and it's like, this is the murderer, and then you click on it. Like, how dumb. He was so dumb. Whew. That was the one time that I had a fun experience with a spoiler, at least. Most sane VTuber fan. That's so stupid. But
gosh, it's like, that's thorough of them though, that they went.
Yeah, but they failed. Can you imagine?
And that's what's so impressive of it all. Just okay, they clearly put effort into this, and they didn't put the thought into it. Just.
Yeah. And then they sent an unbanned request saying that we overacted. Yeah, something like that. I didn't even look at it because what if they said the name, right? So I didn't. But yeah, he tried to reach out to the police for an actual murder. Oh no! But yeah, I think it's fun. Sometimes people go a little bit unhinged. But even if I had been spoiled, I don't think it would really matter because it's still you still have to put you still have to put the parts together, and it's still
know how.
fun.
Yeah, even if I go in knowing this is who did it, but how, that's the other part of the mystery of just the way they actually orchestrated everything.
Yeah, because even at that point, the game itself gives you 4 options, right? So it's not like it could be anyone. It could only be those people, and then you kind of okay, you make your own, you have your own ideas. And it was very funny. So I don't really mind most spoilers. I think there are exceptions, but if I do get spoiled, I just ignore that type of media that for maybe for a year, and then I've forgotten the spoiler, and then I can just watch it anyways.
Yeah, and one series that I always make sure to not spoil because it's one of it's my favorite anime of all time that I talked earlier about. Oh gosh, I'm no good at ranking different things. And one of the few things that I know, I couldn't tell you what my second, third, fourth favorite anime are, but my favorite anime is one that you and I both enjoy, and that's Code Geass. And that's one I tell folks, don't look stuff up because there's a lot of twists and turns in that series, and even though it's been 15 years since it came out.
Ah, so
That
old.
I know it's really weird, but I think it holds up extraordinarily well, and that I always tell folks, just watch the show. I'm not gonna say it's the best anime of all time. It's my favorite anime of all time, but I think it is just generally strong, and I think almost anyone can watch the show and enjoy it, even if it's not going to
Yeah.
be their favorite anime.
Yeah, objectively speaking, I think it's a really, really, really good show. I think the only reason you might not like it is if you hate A, you hate Max, or B, you don't like the art style. 'Cause the art style is like,
Yeah.
you know, nowadays,
Clamp.
at least, yeah, yeah.
Clamp is very
noodle.
iconic for having long, noodly characters. Their legs are
Really.
70%
70%
yes.
legs, at least. They're the real Barbie girls. They finally got that.
Oh, I have a friend who also likes Code Geass a lot. I'm gonna have to tell him that later. That's really good.
They look like it. They're talking about soup and Code Geass. Yeah, I think Code Geass is like one of those shows. You know, if you don't like anime at all, maybe it's gonna be a bit difficult because it is a little bit, you know, edgy, I guess. But I have actually introduced that show to people that have never watched anime, and they enjoyed it.
I think it's a relatively accessible one that if somebody enjoyed Game of Thrones, they can enjoy Code Geass.
Yeah, but if they don't like the art style, then I think when you introduce anime as a medium to someone and they don't like anime because they think of it as like a cartoon, like a childish thing, maybe Code Geass isn't the best because it's a little bit odd, right? So then it's probably something more like normal will be easier.
Do you have any go-tos for when you're trying to get someone who isn't into anime?
Well, it kind of depends if it's if they're more into like stereotypical girl or boy media. If they're into stereotypical girl media, then I'll just throw a cute shoujo at them. Kind of like what was it called? You know, the wallflower one? I don't remember. The black hat girl, Todo. Wallflower is cute. Was that? Yeah. What was the Japanese name? I don't remember. Oh no. That one, I think.
Wallflower anime.
Kimi no Todoke. Thank you very much.
Ah.
Yeah. That one is like it's really soft. It's really simple.
It
it's
is just
cute.
called Wallflower. I haven't actually seen that one.
Yeah, it's very cute. Or you know, maybe something like Ghibli-esque. I feel like Ghibli is also very, very easy to digest. So maybe something like Osama Ranking, which I think is really nice. And if they're more into like boy media, then probably some fucking generic shonen, and they'll be cooked.
I think that shonens are actually one of the worst ones to give to people who aren't into anime because they're so long.
Yeah, but you can pick a short one, right? Like
That's fair,
Demon Slayer is really. I think Demon Slayer is like very easy to watch for someone that doesn't like
it's
anime.
getting longer at this point, but now they're
I guess.
I think past 50 episodes or something.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh really? Okay. But it's like it looks nice. It's nicely animated, you know, and it has like this fun vibe. So you're more. It's easier for it to watch, but just One Piece.
Just watch One Piece.
Or maybe Jujutsu Kaisen, which was also very easy. I think it has to be something easy. If it's too crazy, you know, they will be. I think one thing I showed one of my girlfriends, I tried to get her into anime, and I showed her Monster.
Oh no!
We watched it together. I mean, she liked it, but I think it was a bit too big of a step. I should have probably picked something else. I don't know why. Don't ask me. I wanted to watch it, and you know, she wanted to try out an anime, so we watched Monster together. It took a very long time.
That's one way to start things. FMA Brotherhood is 64 episodes. That's not super short.
Yeah, but it's also I think FMA Brotherhood's also one of those shows that's probably easy.
It's definitely a more approachable one. It's not short, but that is definitely one that I think is a gold standard. It's up there for me. I don't know where it ranks exactly, but I really, really enjoy that series, and I do agree that thematically it's very approachable.
Yeah, definitely. I've also tried like getting my parents into watching anime. Sometimes they do. I think they like the Ghibli movies. I think they're fine, but I don't know, anything else. Series in general, they've never really been willing to watch.
Yeah, but that's my parents as well. That I got them to watch Wolf Children, Mamoru Hosoda. Not sure if you're familiar with that director. Does a lot of
Yeah,
stuff that I would say is similar
hate that
to
movie.
Ghibli. Oh, you don't like
It,
Wolf
it
Children?
it makes it's I think it's too sad. There's a line and it was too sad and it made me cry and that's why I don't like
Oh,
it.
it is a very emotional film.
Yeah, it's a good movie, but I thought it made me very angry at the end. So, but objectively, it's a very good movie, I guess. Wasn't it the same person that made that the Beast child or
Yeah,
whatever?
the Boy and the Beast. I didn't like
Yeah.
the Boy and the Beast. I didn't like the ending in that one at all.
Hmm. Don't remember.
It's spoiler alert for Boy and the Beast. I half of Death Note. Okay, I know where you wired there.
Okay, the second half of Death Note wasn't that bad, guys.
It was not that bad.
It wasn't that bad. Oh, spoiler start. Okay.
Yeah, so spoiler start for Boy and the Beast. I disliked that at the end he had to choose and that he never went back to the Beast World and like just said, "Okay, I'm only going to be in
Yeah,
Human
all
World."
right.
There was no reason that he had to choose.
Yeah.
It wasn't like the portal or whatever closed and he was no longer able to visit the people that he grew up with. He just sort of decided, I'm never going back because I don't know. They didn't really even provide reasoning.
Yeah, it's true.
I think it was supposed to be, oh, I've grown up and that I'm no longer going here. But it made no sense to me that I understood, okay, you want to live in the human world now. I can understand that. But why would you not just visit? Why have you shut yourself off here? And that singular line of it just really undermined the entire ending of the movie for me.
It also felt a bit like it was two movies in once. Like the first half was really good, the point where they were, you know, the kid learns how to fight and everything, and he's spending time with his beast guy. And then once he went into the real world, it just totally switched. Like the atmosphere switched, the characters didn't really make any sense more, and then suddenly they were fighting, and then it was over. Yeah, I remember. But I thought the first half was really nice, and the sound design in the movie was really good.
Yeah,
but the ending was a bit
visually
stupid,
and definitely the first half was really cool, and I can even understand the parallel worlds thing because you're sort of telling two different stories because it's the two sides
but one is
of
better.
his life. You're not wrong on that. You're not wrong.
one is a fun story, and the other one is annoying and depressing and kind of ununderstandable.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Oh, Fruits Basket. I've never watched the new Fruits Basket. I'm gonna put my spot back on. I remember reading. I don't think I ever watched the original either. Actually,
I didn't watch the original. I watched the remake, and it was really good. That said, you said that you didn't like Wolf Children because it was sad. Fruits Basket is very sad. So if you don't like sad things, you probably shouldn't watch it.
It's not as sad as Wolf Children. Wolf Children is like one of the saddest things I've seen. I think because like I've read from Fruits Basket and it's like sad, but it's, you know, they're fine, kind of. They end up fine.
That's fair. Yeah. From what I understand, the remake of the anime is just the recreation of the manga. And I thought it was beautifully done. Just the animation was great. They got the original cast back both in Japanese and in English. So
really?
At least most of the cast, yes.
Yeah, I see. Maybe I'll watch it then. We should watch Wolf Children Discord. Yeah, maybe we can. We'll consider it. I don't know. I thought it's not been like I already kind of forgot. Like I said, I forget about stuff very easily. But it's not been that long that I've watched it. But maybe we can watch it anyways. I think Fruits Basket. I remember really liking the manga, but I never watched the anime either. I think. But I'm not too into shoujo anime. I've never been able to like I love shoujo manga. I consume it all. Every single one that exists. I've probably read it. But the anime I could never really get into because I think the pacing is always very off. Because they stretch like a plot that is very much misunderstanding A, misunderstanding B, and then they stretch it into a show, and then every little tiny scenario takes like an entire episode. And it's a lot of, I can't. No, I don't enjoy filler.
That's really interesting that you have that difference there, but I suppose it makes sense because when you're reading a manga, you can read pretty quickly, go page by page, but when it's an anime, that even if they're not drawing out a scene or a plot line in the sense of that they have added things to make it longer, that they're going to have the longer shots, they're going to have pauses,
very long shots.
and that adds
Such
up,
long shots.
and
It
it
does.
becomes slower.
You have like, in the manga, it's one page of first panel, boy looks at girl, second panel, girl looks back, third, they're close to each other. And then in an anime, that scene takes like half a minute at least.
Yeah.
I can't sit through it. I love shoujo manga, never loved shoujo anime. It was really well paced. Well, maybe I'll give it a shot. But yeah, I think I don't really read that much shonen. I watch mostly, I would say, mostly watch shonen, and I mostly read shoujo, and I think that's how it's worked for me for the past million years. So that's probably how I'm gonna keep it.
Yeah, I don't read much shoujo, but come to think of it, that's one of the genres. That and a couple more dialogue-based ones I do enjoy reading more, but for things like shonen, I do prefer to have it in motion, in color, with sound, that a fight scene is just going to feel better in animation than in stills, in my opinion.
Yeah, especially if it's action heavy.
Yeah.
Then it might be a lot of fun. But obviously there's always exceptions to those type of things. I've seen, I don't know. I think just reading, you would kind of decide the pacing, and it's more about the plot only. And when it's an animation, often shoujo are just also not good. The funding is never as good as for the bigger like the shonen equivalents.
Fair.
And like, they to be fair, very often it's just like high school girl and high school boy or high school girls, and they're living their lives. And so, they don't need that much funding. The budget is smaller. The studio doesn't put in that much effort. And, they're not quality wise, they're never really on par, I would say, with a lot of shonen. So it gets even worse. But I can imagine something like Fruits Basket, because it is one of the one of the most popular ones.
Yeah.
Maybe that particular anime
it had its
went
audience.
really well.
It was already a brand name, so they gave it the backing. And from a production value alone, I'm not sure for you personally if it'll still be a bit too slow in terms of pacing, but I can say production-wise, it was gorgeous.
Yeah. That's nice, at least. Because a lot of them... Recently an anime came out, it was Tomo-chan...
Tomo-chan is a girl.
Yeah. The manga, so cute. So cute. I read it in like a week, the entire manga. It was really, really cute. The anime was not. It was really... I only watched a couple episodes, maybe it got better. But the pacing was kind of weird. The punchlines didn't really hit, because it's a comedy. And the voice acting was great and everything, but the art wasn't that good either. Like, you could tell, in the backgrounds, there were no backgrounds.
It was a middle-tier budget show.
Yeah, it was not that good, sadly. But the manga was really good. So, I think that's how I feel about shoujo manga, yeah. Ooh.
And then there's ones that are a bit more difficult to classify that I know you really enjoy. And you mentioned it earlier, Ranking of Kings, Osama Ranking, and that... the first season was just, in my opinion, one of the best shows of 2022. It was really, really good.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Or was it 2021 or 2022? But bottom line, one of my favorite shows of that year. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, it was a really good show. I liked it. We watched it with the Beans in the Discord. It was very fun. Actually, weekly even. Wow.
And just the style, like you said, it's reminiscent of Ghibli, and the storytelling's really good. The characters are memorable. The designs are very distinct.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. Yeah, that's why it reminded me a little bit. I mean, obviously, it reminded me a lot of Ghibli because of the soft art style and the specific line art that they do. And obviously, Ranking of Kings was way more extreme with the character designs, but still kind of went into that direction. This like whimsical, fantasy world, but not quite.
Yeah,
I mean, it was a fantasy world, but
there's a fair bit of reality, but then also different fantasy elements baked in, and that they find a good balance. And that what really makes that show is the characters. That it's a very character-driven story. That there is a bit of action, but the action is a vehicle for the characters to go through certain arcs and actions, and then at the end of the day, it is very much about the people.
Yeah, I really like that show. I think it's super cute, and I do recommend it.
And then the second season was frustrating.
Well, the second season wasn't a real second season.
Yeah, because it wasn't bad. The content in the season wasn't bad content, but it
Yeah.
wasn't meaningful
It wasn't a
content.
continuation. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
filler. It was OVA. It was just
Yeah, that's
It
a
was-
great way to put it. It was an OVA season because it was all
Yeah.
these side stories that had already happened. They showed some flashbacks, they developed some characters, and it was good development. I would have rather had that sequentially, chronologically in season 1, or have the flashbacks be in season 1 while they're going through certain events that are relevant to that character, as opposed
yeah.
to reach the end of a big arc and then do part of a flashback to other things that happened while they were training. It's like,
Yeah, I don't really understand. I really don't understand why. Like, I understand that the problem with anime, oftentimes a problem with anime is that, they have a season and then they build up a lot of hype and there's a big break and then the second season comes out and it just, no one is as interested in it. Like it happened, or, the studio changes or whatever. And I get that. And I understand that they want to keep the hype alive. I don't know. But I don't understand. And I feel like Yaiba did the same, right? Where they made a season, then they made a movie, which is fine. And then they started the next season, but the first episode of that season was the movie. Like those decisions, I feel like that falls into the very similar ballpark part.
Hopping to Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba for a moment, I understand why they made Mugen Train a movie and not a season, because in terms of how long it isn't enough to fill a full season. It was the perfect length for a movie. But then I'll agree after the fact that stapling on and making the first several episodes of their next broadcast season just the movie begs the question, okay, hold on, if you were just going to do that anyways, why? That feels like...
It doesn't make any sense.
That suggests, did something happen in production and they fell behind and
but
they're
doing the same thing again.
Yeah, it's weird. That confused me. My guess for Osama ranking, what I think happened is when they adapted the first season, they did so not expecting it to be as successful as it was. And that when they did it, they wanted to tell a complete story in the allotted number of episodes that they had, and that they sort of assumed, all right, this will do well enough to justify its production, that it will make money. We won't lose money on this, but it's probably not going to be a runaway hit. And then it was a runaway hit. And they realized, oh, there's enough demand here. People want more. But
no one wants side story filler in the entire season. That's just stupid.
What I think happened though is that they weren't able to, for whatever reason, that like they might have been waiting for more of the manga to be written. So they used the side stories to buy time. Okay, people clearly want more. We can't give them the new content yet, but we don't want it to be like Attack on Titan, where we had season 1 and then waited 5 years for season 2.
Yeah.
So there may have been a level of compromise / scrambling of, okay, let's do a bunch of side stories. We know this isn't season 2 proper. We know it's not good, but at least it will keep the show top of mind. We'll have something, and that's better than nothing, while we wait for more content to be available to be adapted.
Yeah.
I could be wrong there, because I'm not actually super familiar with how much more content has already been printed, so I could be off base, but that's just sort of one of my instincts there, of that they want to do more and didn't have the means to do so for some reason, and decided that this was better than nothing to just fill the time until they can do more.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, but it's still not good,
Oh yeah, I'm not going to say it's an ideal situation, certainly not.
No, I think, I don't know, I feel like Ranking of Kings specifically was I think it would have been okay to just, I don't know, just build up the hype again when the next season comes out, or just not make another season. It's fine as well.
Yeah.
Like, you don't, I don't know, but yeah, I was also thinking of One Punch Man. Like Chasketch says, like, I remember the first season was like explosive, and then the second season took, I don't know how long. I don't even know if it was that long.
It was a long time. Is the bottom line.
Okay.
Also,
and then it was kind of like just no one, obviously people still watched it. Yeah. I think I watched it, and I think it was fine, but
the hype train had passed.
Yeah, it's kind of difficult sometimes. I get it.
Also,
difficult.
Flamme mentions, I suppose we haven't really explained too much about any of these series as we've gone through them, but Ranking of Kings, the main character is deaf and not mute, but that they are not able to speak in complete sentences. So they actually have real sign language used in the animation. That they brought in an active consultant to make sure that they used real sign language, which I really appreciate, and that it's such a unique type of story just because of how people have to interact with the main character, and that's very central to the character and their plot and their progression and growth. And it's something that you don't see in many series because it is, obviously statistically speaking, there aren't as many people that are deaf, but it's still just a rare plot point to see. And I think they handled it very tastefully.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I mean, obviously, well, it's, I don't know. I just thought this show was very much diversion of expectations because I picked it up by, like, I saw the poster and I was like, oh, whatever, and then we watched it together in the Bean Discord, and then I was such a positive experience. I really liked it overall, but I don't want to talk about it too much in order to not spoil it because it's not that old. It's not that old.
Yeah. That everything I said is episode 1 establishing
like
information. That is not a spoiler.
Yeah.
But I agree. I will not say anything more. But it is a very fulfilling series. The very least the first season. You can pass on season 2. Look forward to season 3. Yeah, it's just not worth it. And there's actually one airing right now for another. I suppose it would count as shoujo. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Horimiya.
Oh yeah, no, I think that's I think technically that's a shonen. I don't know actually. It could be both.
It's a
Is that the one with the guy with his piercing?
Yes, I think that is the one that you're thinking of. Yes, and that the current season is just a bunch of side stories. That it's not actual progression. And I watched a couple episodes, seeing, all right, is it going to be enough to remain compelling for me? And I ended up dropping it, despite the fact that I really enjoyed the first season because it's essentially the same situation that Ranking of Kings had.
Oh yeah, no, I guess it's a shoujo. Yeah. I mean, I don't get it. I guess at that point, you or me in that situation, it's not the target audience anymore. And I think with Ranking of Kings, for example, when the next season comes out, I'll definitely still watch it. But I can what Demon Slayer, for example, did with the weird pacing with the movie and stuff. I can imagine that's something that actually puts you off from actually watching it. But
yeah,
I have not watched Horimiya, so I don't know.
Meh. So there's a lot of good stuff out there, and that we're definitely, both for games and anime, for content in general, we have an embarrassment of riches situation, that there's so much good stuff out there, so much cool stuff being made, so many amazing streamers. Like, one of the great things about Vtuber Talk is I'm never going to run out of people to talk with because there's so many. And
there's too many.
Like, the only bad thing about Vtuber Talk getting to 118 episodes now is that in the early days, I used to be able to tune in to past guest streams like once a week, even for a little bit, just to, pop in, say hi, sure I still care. And somewhere around episode 40 or so, I was like, I can't do this anymore. I just can't. And that I still make an effort to think, and when I look at the sidebar on Twitch and see, all right, who's live right now, I sort of go through in my mind, like, okay, who haven't I popped in on recently? That it's no longer, all right, it's going to be a weekly thing necessarily, but I try to pop in when I can, but it's still really tough.
Yeah, it's a lot of VTubers. But no, there's no other VTubers. There's only there's
Soya.
No other VTubers. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, this is Soya Poya Talk.
This is Soya Poya Talk. No, but I get it. I think I have that a little bit too, where I enjoy watching VTubers, obviously, and nowadays it feels kind of like I don't really watch VTubers that much more. I just kind of hang out in people's chats that I kind of enjoy anyways. But I've always been like a lurker, so it doesn't really affect me that much.
Yeah,
but
and that makes sense for basically anyone that isn't running a talk show. I suppose.
Yeah.
That
Yeah, I
if
guess
you're
that
a
makes
normal
sense.
viewer, yeah, that you explore around.
But even
you
then, there's
find-
too many. There's
Yeah,
too
there's
many
a
you want to
lot.
watch at all times. I think one thing I noticed as well is special events. So whenever, so I have a couple friends, VTuber friends. We call the Barbie girls, and there was a point in time where literally everyone at one weekend had a redebut or a fucking, I don't know, subathon or some anniversary and special event, and I was
And that
this
you
was in
hadn't
March.
coordinated it. You hadn't
Yeah, no,
tried
of
to make
course
it.
not.
That at some point, that you could have made it one of those marathon things. Okay, this person's debut, and then we're going to rate into that person for their debut. And then you just accidentally, all right, we published our schedules. Wait a minute, you're doing a debut too? You're doing a debut too? Uh-oh.
Yeah. But it was kind of got to the point where I kept pushing around my own debut because I was like, oh no, that weekend this person, oh no, that weekend this person's doing. So yeah, there's too many streamers at this point, but it's okay. Almost all VTubers are very cute, and I think they're fun to watch and fun to listen to, and to consume the content. Consume it all.
That part of why VTuber Talk exists is because there are so many different people, and that there's so many different styles, not just in terms of models and visuals, but styles of content. That some people specialize in, they might really just play a lot of Souls-like games. Others might be 90% just chatting, and that there's no wrong way to do content. There's no wrong way to be a VTuber, and that part of the fun for me as a host is being able to talk with different folks who have all these different styles, these different interests, and that's what keeps things fresh even now 118 episodes in.
Yeah, I can imagine that. Yeah, I think obviously, everyone is different in their own way, and I think VTubing specifically is a very fun medium where you can kind of like push it further, easier push it further, because if you're like a normal streamer, you can still push it quite far, right? There's still a bunch of creative stuff that you can do, but it's just easier as a VTuber. You just
Facecam streamers can't ignore the laws of physics at will.
Yeah, exactly. They can't necessarily fly around as much, but yeah, it's I don't know, I love VTubers. I think they're fun to watch, fun to be around, fun to hang around. So yeah.
And one of the things that you do as a VTuber that's on the more unique side is that you play instruments. And while plenty of people who are VTubers play instruments outside of streaming, that you stream performances of you playing your instruments, and have even gone as far as to rig your model to accommodate that you actually play violin, that you have a setup where you can actually see the fingerings, even if it's not quite one-to-one. We're not quite there yet, I think, on tracking. But
okay, no one can tell.
That it's still, that's something that very few people do. And where does violin begin for you? Is that something just growing up, all right, your parents want you to play an instrument and here's the violin? Was it something that you saw a performance and said, I want to play that?
Yeah, so in my hometown, we had a music school, and they had an orchestra, and they did like exchange programs with other orchestras. And there was an orchestra from England. I was 15 years old, and there was a girl, and she had a silver violin. It was silver.
What?
Silver or gold? I don't know. I think gold or silver. And I pointed towards it, and I was like, I want to play the violin. And then I started very early on. I did it like for a long time. I played it a lot. Like, it was everything for me. I did competitions, concerts, tours, and everything. It was a really nice time, and I enjoyed it a lot. And then I kind of fell out of it because I was like, the problem with music, especially classical music, you have to live, you have to breathe, and you have to eat that instrument. There's nothing else you can do. You have to practice 5 hours every day. If you become a professional musician, everything you do is surrounded by music, and you just have no time. You know, and I realized that I wasn't good enough to go like full pro, especially not with the amount that I did. And then I kind of just stopped for a couple years. But it was never a sad thing. It was, for me, it was never this like, oh, it failed. It was really this, okay, I love it, but I don't think I love it enough. You know? And I think that's okay sometimes to have a passion, not make it into a career.
And that's,
I wasn't good enough.
I think it's a really healthy thing because it's the realization of, okay, I love this, but I realize in order to make it a career, I would have to commit so much to it that I wouldn't love it anymore.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And also, it is a bit. Also, classical music specifically is dying, and
Yeah,
it's even like you making something into a career that isn't safe. It's very difficult to find a
and
job. You might have to like move
extremely
to a
competitive.
city. Yeah. So I kind of fell out of it. I stopped for a couple of years, and then yeah, I missed it a lot. And then I started again. Now I'm sadly struggling with some like health issues related to hands, so I can't play that much anymore. But I'm slowly getting back into it, and I like incorporating it into streams when I can. I don't do it a lot. I want to do it more, but there's a line always. So I'm the very first instrument hoarder. No,
Well,
but
you
I like the violin, and I think it fits well with VTubing because like a lot of anime soundtracks and video games soundtracks are very orchestral, obviously, and then it's very fun.
Yeah, I really enjoy orchestral. I'm middle of the road on classical. That for me, I played trombone for middle school, high school, and college, not professionally, but that I was always in some orchestra for over a decade straight, and that I met some of my best friends in orchestras and bands, and that it is something that I haven't played in a while just because after finishing college and moving that there are very few opportunities I feel for adults to play in orchestras if you're not a professional or if you're not willing to dedicate a lot of time. And obviously 2020 made it so orchestras also hit a roadblock in terms of being able to hold rehearsals and performances.
Yeah. Of course, yeah. But I think it also kind of depends if you live in if you live in a big town or if you live like on the countryside. But at least if you live in a big town, I think there are still people that you just have to look. There's a lot of like adult casual stuff. But yeah, obviously it's easier when children, they have, like,
when it's
clubs
school and that
stuff.
there is a you have a schedule and all right, at this time of day that I'm going to have band class, or even in university, it's a lot easier just to have a more structured schedule in that way, and to just know, all right, during these days, the weeks, these times, this is when rehearsals are, because there's going to be a lot of people, and but maybe it's something I'll do again, maybe not, but certainly a lot of really, really good memories.
Yeah, I think orchestras and fun stuff like that. It's very fun and it's really nice. Social activity can be too.
Moo mentioned something that has me curious. They say you loved Mozart so much that you invented Mozart balls to celebrate his music.
I hate Mozart. I just hate Mozart.
Is there something particular about Mozart's style that makes you...
There's a lot of it's difficult, right? Because there's a lot of good Mozart music. He's written like a million things, and a lot of them are really good. But a lot of them are just not fun to play, and they're very overplayed. There's like, like the kind of Nachtmusik. I just don't like it. And Mozart is always, it sounds easier than it is. Like, to make it sound really good, it's actually kind of difficult, for an orchestra at least. And then it's always like, oh, can you play this? And then you hear it everywhere. And I don't know. I'm not that into classical anyways. Like, that's the time period.
Yeah.
But especially Mozart was always just never. I don't think I've played so much Mozart, and only like he's done piano concertos, which I think are cool.
And there's never going to be new Mozart music. That if people are playing Mozart, it is from a large catalog. To be fair, he did write a lot.
A large catalog, but only like 5 of them get played.
Yeah, that the number of greatest hits, the iconic ones, is much smaller, and that's the go-to stuff for every orchestra, and that's not going to change. It's never going to be, we're playing the new Mozart piece. Whereas I very much agree. I enjoy orchestral. I enjoy soundtracks. I love, whether it be video game soundtracks, movie soundtracks, anime soundtracks, that I love the sound of an orchestra.
Hmm.
And, Mozart wrote orchestral music and it has fine sound, but it's just, I can appreciate it. It is not compelling to me.
Yeah. Yeah, Mozart
AI
going to.
Mozart, oh God.
The tracks from his Cocaneous. Yeah, that's what I mean. There's definitely a lot really nice that he's written, but the ones that get overplayed and the ones that you get made to play and that you expected to play is always kind of the same, and I don't like it. And also, he was Austrian, and Germans don't like Austrians, like by default.
Yeah.
I don't know. You can't like them for some reason.
It's I feel like sibling rivalry type of stuff of just
Yeah, if the sibling is like stupid.
Moo mentions the Zelda Orchestra. Saw that multiple times. I have seen Distant World, the Final Fantasy Orchestra, multiple times. I've seen a lot of video game music concerts. I very, very much enjoy those, and there have been a couple of recent ones for specific games that I haven't seen. Mono Melon mentions there's going to be a Genshin one. I know that a Sonic the Hedgehog one was announced. They had one for Undertale, actually. They had one for Nier. They had a special event for Elden Ring, I know, actually. That was a smaller one, that it was sort of a chamber orchestra, but still orchestral instrumentation at play.
That's cool. Yeah, I've never seen that live, I think, from like a
I
like a video
highly
game.
encourage, if you ever have a chance, if there's ever one of the touring productions that comes to a city near you, it's really unlike anything else, because the people that go there are all going to be fans. People get super excited for the pieces, and that it's just a very special shared experience, because, well, everyone's experience playing game is just slightly different. That one of the things that makes video game music so much more figuratively and not really literally resonant with people is that when you listen to a movie soundtrack or an anime soundtrack, it is the soundtrack to somebody else's life. You are hearing their theme as they go through their story. Video game music, since you as the player, it becomes the soundtrack to your life, and that you are creating memories and going through these things, even if there's still the named character, that you as the player have a greater level of investment in.
You also hear it more.
In that too, that you hear it so many times, and you remember going through the overworld.
You're in the same theme for like 50 hours.
And that when you're at those concerts, that there's these moments where you can just sort of like glance at the people next to you as you're both really excited for the battle theme, and you're like, oh yeah, I know this, and I've never met you, but I know that you know this theme, and that we both have this shared appreciation for it, and it's really, really cool.
Yeah, I think it's very nice. I think music in video games in general is super strong and has a strong impact. Like, there's been games that I picked up just because I like the music, where I'm like, wow, this is great music, I have to play this game now, even though I wouldn't really be interested in it. And I've never seen like a live orchestra like that, but if I ever am close to it, I will.
Fortunately, orchestras, it used to be that these types of shows were considered the weird sort of redheaded stepchild performances because, oh, it's not Mozart, it's not Beethoven. And then as soon as an orchestra does one of those for the first time, and they realize that their audience is not only 5 times the size of their normal audience, but about 40 years younger on average, that you talk about orchestras dying, and you're not wrong, Soya, that it is increasingly difficult for professional orchestras to stay afloat, because they overly rely, frankly, on classical era music, and that the market for classical era music is certainly not what it once was, and it will never be as big as it once was. That there will always be a market, but it's dwindling. And meanwhile, video game and soundtrack, other orchestral stuff is growing, because think about gaming and anime fandoms over the past 10-15 years. that the amount of people that watch anime now, go to anime conventions, has skyrocketed. It's so much more mainstream than it's
That's
ever
true,
been
yeah.
before. And by virtue of that, the number of people that are going to these concerts has increased. And that a lot of orchestras are realizing, oh, wait, if we do this, we'll have like sold out crowds for every show and an audience that's really engaged, that is way younger and wouldn't be here anyways. This is how we reach our new customers. This is how we try to keep things afloat so we can still play
And it's also
occasionally.
really nice, right?
Yeah,
Like,
it's just good
I think
music.
elitism in classical music it's always been the death of classical music. It's like, oh, you know, first of all, okay, the tickets cost way too much, even though I would say these concerts also are expensive, but it's like, it's expensive, you have to dress nicely, you know, you're not allowed to clap. If you cough, everyone looks at you. Classical music is just not that fun to consume very often. It's like, you have to love the music to even go there. Like, no one's like, oh, or at least
I couldn't
not
have put
that
it better
often.
myself.
Yeah, and then I think they have to, right? Otherwise, even if I think they want to, because obviously the people playing the music are also getting younger. But even if they didn't want to, they have to. Otherwise, there's no one's coming to these. No one's going there anymore. Like, it's just. I think sometimes people even go to classical concerts just to see the venues, because a lot of the venues, especially in like European cities, are like these really impressive,
big historical,
old architectural.
Yeah.
And you know, you get like this cool experience with interesting acoustic. But obviously also video game music in general, I think, has moved a lot away from the, you know, 8-bit era where it might not have translated as well. And nowadays it is just orchestral stuff.
Yeah, that
There's no difference between the Lord of the Rings soundtrack and, I don't know, the Dark Souls soundtrack. They're both cool and, you know, complex. So I think it'll be fun.
It's no longer you're having to adapt the Super Mario World theme, which is taking just tritonal music and then break it out into full orchestral, add flourishes to try and make sure that every part or every instrument has a good part to play, that it is now just composed as orchestral music, and that when it's being composed, you now also just have the sheet music. You're not having to bother usually with full-on rearrangements. You can just take what was used in the recording studio, license it out to the orchestras, and you're done. You don't need to bother creating anything new or commissioning separate arrangements for these shows. You just already have it on hand. And Moo in chat mentions, you know, at these shows, it's not everyone getting dressed up and fancy, that people can arrive in t-shirts. Some people will dress up a bit, but you'll have cosplayers go to these things, and that people will clap and they will get excited, and that it's okay to show emotion at a concert. Who'd have thunk it?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Recently, while playing alone didn't feel as good. I get that a lot too. But where you know, you play a melody instrument specifically, and that was a big hurdle for me, going from my entire life I've only played in orchestras and ensembles, and then suddenly I wanted to play again, but I didn't have anyone to play with the violin. And what helped me a lot was actually like just having just a piece, an orchestral piece, or, you know, it can be video games or whatever, and then just playing with it. Which, if you play a melody, like a piano or something that isn't a melody instrument, you can just pick it up, play at any point. But if you play the flute or the violin or whatever, you need a backing track, and that's kind of feels weird and off if you're used to playing with an orchestra. But I've gotten used to it, and I think maybe you guys should try to, if you play trombone or whatever. And
it's sort of the reverse for trombones, because violins usually will get the melody, and that the melody won't sound as good without the backing, but trombone and low brass usually gets the supporting stuff that will get melody.
And just play the melody.
Often, or like an occasional solo, but a lot of what trombones get is the counter melodies, or just half notes that are providing the backing, and it sounds beautiful, and that the trombone undoubtedly adds, even if you're just playing half notes, whole notes, or the occasional counter melody. But a lot of trombone music, if it is from a larger orchestral score, is just going to sound weird and mundane if you try and play it solo, because it's just ba, ba, ba,
but you can just play the melody,
but
right?
But it usually doesn't have that if you've got the trombone part, unless you have bought the full orchestral score. It is trombone's a C instrument.
Oh, trombone.
So
trombone.
that depending on what it is, that you will have to either translate
Like the
from
sheet
different
music.
keys, and that,
Oh,
unless
right.
you
Yeah,
have
it's
the
a
full
weird one.
score. Yeah. Plus, it's in bass clef, so that could do other things since a lot of
Then you
melodies
have to
are
learn
usually
to play
treble
by
clef.
ear, and then you just play the
Yeah.
melody.
You just got to get good.
Just kidding. Yeah, literally. Yeah, I guess then it's a bit harder, but still, I think melodies, you can. It's still more fun than just playing in an empty room with nothing. I
Absolutely.
think.
Yeah. Well, do you remember the first violin piece that you played on stream?
On stream? Yeah, it was House Moving Castle.
Ooh.
Dun, dun. Yeah, I think it was like a subathon reward or something 3 years ago.
Mm.
Yeah, and right now I'm preparing for a violin concert. I was supposed to do it a couple weeks ago, but then I moved, and then now I'm trying to do it. But
Yeah,
the other day I cut my finger
Oh no!
nails, so I haven't been able to play that well. But I'm preparing, and it'll probably happen. I'm working towards in 2 weeks. I think 2 weeks should be enough for this to regrow.
Mhm.
I've tried playing a little bit today, and yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I hope it'll be fun. It'll be mostly video games and anime. Well, not my fingernails. Like I cut into my nail bed because I sliced some food.
Ooh, that's never fun.
You can have mine. Thank you. I always wanted someone else's
So, is the
fingernail.
violin you use the one that you used growing up, or have you gotten a new one? That my guess is when you first started. I know there's smaller violins for children that are just,
Yeah.
The arms aren't as long, so that there will be smaller ones. But standard violins are standard. So, have you had the same standard violin from the beginning, or have you upgraded over time?
No, I've had the same one. Like once you kind of stop growing, or you're like around stop, you kind of know, and then you get a full violin. In my case, obviously, since I'm 6 meters, it's actually a double bass that was turned into a violin.
Ah, yes, of course.
Of course. But you get like your standard at some point, depending on, I don't know, different ages, and then you just keep that one. And I got a pretty good one, so I never had to upgrade. Obviously, you can always upgrade, but for me personally, it's not financially. It doesn't make any sense, because if I wanted to upgrade, I would have to spend like
A lot of money. Yeah,
a lot of money.
that
Yeah,
violin.
because it is a bit of this like, okay, really cheap sounds kind of shit, and then you get to a threshold, and then if you want anything that's better than that, you're gonna have to invest a ton of money, and it's just not really worth it. Yeah.
Yeah, there's sort of, I forget what the proper term is, but there's sort of an inflection point in the cost to value or cost to quality graph line, so to speak, where
Yeah.
if you buy a cheap violin, it's not going to sound good, and you don't really want to buy a cheap one, but at the same time, a mid-grade violin, the difference between a mid-grade and a high professional violin, the difference there is something that only a professional will really notice, but
Yeah.
the price difference is exponential.
Yeah. Also, the thing is, like, even if like, I play in front of a mic, the mic destroys the quality.
Yeah,
anyways.
that it's already
Even if I
going
had
to be.
So it's only for me personally, also that since I don't, I'm not even able to play that much, so then I don't think it's worth it. But a lot of people get like an instrument, and if they decide to study music in a university, then they might, invest, maybe even get sponsored or something in getting like an even more expensive one. Sadly, violin is not very accessible, but I think, most of the time, if you have like a school or something, maybe they can rent you one.
Yeah.
I think that's what most people do when they start out.
Yeah. Also, for violins, apart from just you have sort of a child-size violin, that violins on the whole don't have any variance, whereas the one time that I really upgraded my trombone, there is what is called a F attachment or a trigger trombone, and that a standard slide trombone is what most people think of, and that it just, it's the long arm extender slide, and that's the same thing for an F attachment, but what an F attachment is, it's an extra tube, and it's where the non-slide hand rests, and that if you press, it's just a little trigger button, that it opens up a valve to a bit of extra tubing to make it so you can play certain notes without having to move as far. So there's 7 standard positions on a trombone, and that's, first position is the slide is not extended at all. 7 is it's as far as it can go. The F attachment can allow you to play something that would normally be in 6th position, so really extended arm, still in 1st position. So, in certain pieces, if you have a note that's in 1st position, then it would be 2nd, then 3rd, then 2nd, then 6th. Going 1 2 1 2 6 requires a lot of extra movement and can end up, if you're not really exact, sounding bad. Whereas with the attachment, you can go 1 2 1 2 1, and it's just much cleaner. It's a bit of an extra step, but that's the thank you, Diminishing Sellout, for reminding me the term I was looking for, diminishing returns. It feels like cheating at first. It kind of does, but it makes things a lot easier and cleaner of making it so you're not having to necessarily flail around quite as much, but it just provides options, because if you have something that would be in 4th, 5th, and 6th, you might still want to use 6th position for that note. That it's not that for every case you're now going to do 1st position with the trigger, but it's now going to be a decision based on relativity for the other notes in the phrase of, I can now figure out, is it just easier to go to 1st position, or am I already extended in 4th position and it's just easier to now move out my wrist and go to 6th, as opposed to pull everything back and go to 1st.
Okay. I think I kind of got it. This is going to come up in the test. I hope everyone wrote it down.
Yeah, I hope. Sorry, I don't get to get totally into band and orchestra jargon at all very much. So the few times that I have a guest that is even tangentially related to orchestral things, I get to nerd out a little bit there.
Yeah, of course, don't worry. No, you can't cheat on my test. Yeah, I think I'm gonna be honest. Like, I know kind of a lot about instruments, but wind instruments, or I guess brass instruments, those I've never even held one. I think so. That's definitely
it's two very different styles of play. Going from a bowed instrument to a brass, embouchure instrument, very different. I use a trombone with 3 valves, so that means that you play a baritone, I assume, or a euphonium rather.
It's cool though. Instruments are, that's true as well. Like, instruments can be very sentimental. I don't think like I always say, like I don't think I would ever be able to, unless I'm like literally starving. I don't think I'd ever be able to sell my violin, for example, because it's been with you through so much.
Yeah,
it's traveled with me through the entire world. I've played it at cool places, and I like it a lot. So that's true too. You become very emotionally attached. That's why I think pianists and those type of instruments, they're so different, because they can't even take them with them.
Yeah, you're not gonna travel with your piano. That you might have your home, your practice piano, and you might get a bit sentimental with that. But if you are performing, you're very right that they're not going to transport those. Obviously, privacy first. Don't get into too many details. But you mentioned that you did travel a lot. How many countries have you performed in?
Probably not that many, like 6 or something.
That's still really cool. That's 5 more countries than I've performed. Wait, 2 more countries than I performed in. I did perform is a loose term. Still 6 countries. That's really cool.
Yeah. It's very fun. I think it's nice. I think music is really nice in that sense. And even though I personally decided didn't do it as a career, I have still been trying to, especially recently, to like incorporate it more into VTubing. And that's why I like VTubing so much, because you're just sitting around and playing a game, but you can also do so much more. Like, you can do creative stuff, and some people do, like, I don't know, crafting, and yes, you can do that too when you are, any type of streamer can do it, but I think VTubing especially, just, I don't know, for me personally, gives me the ability to do a lot of stuff that I want to do, but I never really had a way to do it, like an output, for myself. Obviously it's fun too, but and you can just do it. So, like, you like to sing, well, you can sing on stream. I feel like it's more easier and more accepted for like a VTuber to be like, I'm gonna do a karaoke stream and sing. I don't think I've ever seen like a normal streamer just be like, hi guys, today's karaoke.
There's a couple of music streamers, but most of those
but they are music
that is
streamers.
I was gonna say that's their entire thing, that they are just gonna be performing on violin or piano or drums, and that's like 90% of their content or more. Whereas I agree that for VTubers, it's much more common for people to be variety streamers because most
Mm.
streamers, even if they're not musicians, are going to have their specialty in that they're a League of Legends streamer or they're a card game streamer. And I think it's very good that VTubers have been able to very much normalize being a variety
Yeah.
streamer.
Yeah, normal streamers should do more karaoke.
They should.
Yeah, they should. It would be so fun. But yeah, so I really like I want to do more violin stuff on stream too.
I forget
Just
who
have to.
mentioned it, that you, I don't want to say that you hoard instruments, but that you collect a lot of different instruments. What was the first instrument after violin that you got?
Okay, so I got a viola actually. I when I was in school, I found this. So okay, so my friend and I would like walk around school and try getting into all the doors, and then we found this like old abandoned storage room, and I saw this case that was obviously either viola or violin, and I asked some random music teacher about it, and apparently years ago, like decades ago, that school had an orchestra and they would rent these instruments. and I was like, can I have it? And then
It
the
was
teacher
just
was
this
like, yeah.
abandoned viola, and they're like, yeah,
It was an
nobody's...
abandoned viola with 2 strings, like really old, not in good shape. And then
Whatever,
I got
strings
it.
are easy to replace. That's nothing.
Yeah. She gave it to me. I got it, and then I brought it to like a violin maker, and they fixed the what is it called, neck thingy.
Yeah,
And
as long as the
strings.
body is intact, that a neck replacement is gonna cost maybe $100, maybe a bit more. That it's not gonna be, if the main body of the instrument is damaged, then it's going to be very expensive, sometimes impossible to repair. But if it's just the neck, that happens. That's standard.
So that was my first, and then I started playing the piano. So I got a piano, and then
Where did the quirky
just-
ones start happening?
I don't know. Can I have it? Exactly. She said yes. I didn't force her. There was no knife involved, I think. I only have like one really quirky instrument, and I have a kalimba, but I don't really think that counts because it cost like €20, and it was very, it was like kind of a gimmick.
Only in the
Econo-
VTuber space are you going to get a kalimba player, though. I don't think there are any. Well, I think there might be a couple of ASMR Basecamp folks that use kalimba.
No,
maybe.
I think kalimbas are really cute. And then what people always say is I really want a hurdy-gurdy. I don't know if I really want one. I don't know if I would be good
You
at
just want to be
playing
able
it.
to say the word hurdy-gurdy as often as possible.
I love the hurdy-gurdy. It sounds so cool. It's a stupid instrument. The word sounds cool. The music sounds cool. But I've learned, actually, this is a very recent discovery I've made, because I found a baglama, which is a Turkish guitar. I found a baglama at my parents, and I was able to take it. Now it's mine. I need the hurdy-gurdy. And I realized, actually, that I have picked up instruments and not actually gone through with them because I didn't like the way they were to play. It was too difficult, okay? I'm gonna be honest. I can play the violin and the piano, and then anything that's kind of shaped similarly, I think I'll be okay. But I tried playing the cello, for example. I got a cello, and it was too difficult. Like,
It's an entirely different angle that
Yeah.
literally you're playing at a different
yeah,
angle.
the angle isn't the problem, but it's just so big and really difficult to press down. And I realized, okay, I can't do this
Yeah.
the way I am right now, anyways. With
I
like,
have
my
to
hands
imagine
and stuff.
also, as someone who played violin for so long, that you're very accustomed to, like you were saying, the amount of pressure you have to put on a string, because
Mhm.
that is, that's the main motion you're going through, and that you have figured out the finesse and gotten very good at it. So you have this muscle memory, and to shift and have to fight against that habit, that muscle memory, probably makes it in a way more difficult than somebody like me who may have played an instrument and understand music, but not have played a string instrument.
I think no, because making a sound out of a string instrument, a good sound, is actually really difficult. And even though the instrument is like in a different angle, cello is still way easier to play if you've played the violin than if you've played the
Okay,
piano.
that's fair. Yeah, that there's
So
still
that really
Mhm.
carries over. So yeah, you have to relearn like how big you have to stretch your fingers and stuff. But for me, it was really this like, okay, I have learned my lesson. I'm not gonna buy any more instruments where I'm not like really sure that I'm gonna be putting in the effort and time to learn that instrument. So I realized with this baklama, it has a very small neck, just like a violin. So I realized that's way easier for me to play than like a real guitar, like a normal guitar, like an acoustic guitar. So yeah, I've learned my lesson. And I want a harp. Yes, that is true. But again, I'm not gonna spend money on something that
Harps
I'm not
are
gonna.
very expensive.
They're really expensive. So I'm not gonna. I want to, but I'm not going to. And I'm not gonna buy a hurdy-gurdy either, because they're really expensive too. Um, so I've stopped. I want to put effort into the instruments that I have, get good at those, and then down the line I can get more, maybe.
If memory serves,
Too
there's
many.
another guitar-like instrument that you got. The saz, was it? Is that the
Yeah,
proper
yeah,
pronunciation?
exactly. That's the one I mean. That like it's
Oh, okay.
baklama saz,
Oh,
and that
okay.
one has a very small neck, so it's way easier for me to play.
Mm-hmm.
Don't exist, Shima. No. But yeah, so I learned my lesson, but I haven't even though I sound very it sounds like I'm being irresponsible. There's only been one instrument that I actually bought that was kind of expensive, and I regret it, and that was the cello. But it's okay, I sold it, so it's fine.
Edible Ghost, I see exactly what you're doing, but I'll play along. Wow, Soya Poya, your rigging is really good. Who did it?
Oh, wow, thank you for the compliment. I did my own rigging. Yeah, that's true. Oh, yeah. Seamless. Seamless edible, thank you. Yeah, I learned rigging, I think, through this model. No, I did one before. Really? Yeah. Yeah, I think I wanted to rig my own model because I wanted like the freedom to just add whatever, and do whatever with it. And I wanted a new design. I had Soya Poya 1.0, which is really cute and I love it a lot, but I wanted to have like a new design anyway, so I got a new artist and everything. And then I decided I also did it because rigging is really expensive.
Yeah, and that way, if you want to do different expressions, or like you have the violin rigging, that's going to be something very non-standard, and that every time you have to work with a third-party rigger, that you're going to have to pay them for their work. That's how it should be.
Yeah,
but at
of
the same
course.
time, that if you have the ability to do it yourself and not have to worry about all right, what's this going to cost? Am I going to have to follow up with the rigger? I'm worried about annoying them, or the person that I'm interested in is really busy. That being able to be your own rigger, like, that's a superpower.
Like, there's not enough riggers and not enough live 2D artists either, but especially not enough like good riggers. So if you want someone to rig your model, you're gonna have to wait like 8 months. And I mean, in the end, I just spent 8 months doing it myself, but it takes a lot of time. I've even seen this with my own artists. Like, I got my art for this face. I got it last year in summer, and then at the beginning of the year, I signed up for a new outfit, and I'm only going to be able to get that outfit like in September or October, right? So it takes so long. And then if you can do your own rigging, once I get my new outfit, I'm going to be able to do that relatively fast because it's just the body. And so it saves time and money. So and I really like rigging. Is really fun. I did motion design. I've been doing motion design for a couple of years, and so it was kind of like the next step. So it wasn't like super crazy, but it was still took a very long time.
Were there any parts of rigging your model that were unexpectedly difficult? That in relativity, that your model doesn't have too many things, but I was going to say, is the braid or the leaves? Is there anything there that was unexpectedly difficult?
Okay, I'll show you. So my rotation goes from here to here, right? So I can turn relatively far. And these fucking hair vents.
Oh,
these
hair vents, of course.
They were, oh my god, the hair took me so long. This was the hardest thing to do because, as you can see, there's like the front part, there's the little triangle, right? And then when you turn, there's one more triangle. However, the front part, when I turn all the way, disappears completely. So you have to, Live 2D is Java based, so it's like really unoptimized and really stupid and has a lot of limitations that shouldn't be there, however they are there. So yeah, this took me so long, and then obviously in the corners. these vents.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They took so long. Absolutely horrendous. Anyone who wants to be a live 2D rigger, if you get someone that has hair vents like mine, either just say no, or do a small rotation. Thank you, Edible. Yeah.
Never really thought about that because hair vents, nobody IRL has hair vents. It's not a thing.
You can.
You can. I don't know if I've ever. Not quite to. I don't know if I've ever seen someone IRL with hair vents to the extent that you see in VTuber models. And frankly, the hair vents that you have aren't even that huge. You know, you look at Crony and her hair vents, like they're massive. And I never really thought about, okay, how does that impact the rigger? And as soon as you were explaining it, it all really clicked for me. Oh yeah, I can understand, even as someone who isn't a rigger myself, I can understand conceptually why that would be so tricky. But it's something that I hadn't really thought about before.
That's true. I mean, it is often like I also didn't think of it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have gotten them. But yeah, and then the other thing I struggled with a lot was actually my violin. When the problem on the right arm, you can even see it's a little bit broken. It's just that the movement is too big. It's a bit too big. Usually, when you see arm movement, it's either covered by clothes or the movement is kind of small. Like, for example, like here, right? The movement is very minimal.
Controlled.
Yeah. But whenever something changes directions, it takes a lot of time. But it's okay. It's okay. The hardest part for me personally was also because I was still learning. I wasn't that good. That was definitely the hair. Also, I think my hair is just a lot going on. There's a lot of layers, and the artist did a really nice job, but there's just a lot, you know. So I've learned my lesson. No, never again. On the other hand, my new child right now also has hair vents, so maybe I'll shoot myself in the foot again. We'll see. She even has horns. It's crazy. I don't know how to do that. We'll see how that goes.
Oh gosh. Yeah, that's the challenge of just VTubers have such diverse designs, and you never know what unorthodox body parts are they going to have. Is there going to be something different about the clothing? Is there going to be some accessory that they have? And you know, even for the leaves, my guess is that the leaves weren't too complex, because even as 3D objects, they are almost 2D in and of themselves.
Yeah, the leaves were super easy compared to like the hair.
But in its own way, that probably, you know, even if it wasn't super difficult, that is a non-standard consideration that you have to go through.
Yeah, but that wasn't, the leaves were fine.
Yeah.
It was the hair.
Meaners has the big brain play here. Soya 3.0 will have no hair.
It's true. Please don't spoil my new outfit. It's gonna happen. I'm actually getting a new haircut, and it's gonna be bald. Just a bald, like an egg.
I've seen plenty of people with the bald toggle.
Yes, it's true. But it's not going to be a toggle.
That's the other thing
that
facecam streamers can't do. They can't make themselves bald and then grow it all back in the same minute.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, they could. They should.
I've seen facecam streamers shave their head on stream. I've seen that before, but they can't get their hair back quite as quickly as a VTuber can.
It's okay. They can just get what is it called? Oh my god,
wig.
what is it called? Wig. Yes. Exactly.
Middle-aged man arc. Are there any instruments that you don't have that you're really hoping to be able to get your hands on, that even if it is a cheaper one, that it doesn't have to be something super big and grandiose like a harp, but are there any other instruments that, whether it's something that is standard or more eclectic, that you hope to be able to get at some point?
No, I've learned my lesson. Oh, I had like a 2-week-long obsession with saxophone, and then I realized saxophone gets played like really weirdly compared to piano or string instruments. So I have decided I will only get a new instrument if it's something that I know that I'm actually going to play, that I know I'm going to be good at playing relatively fast, and that I can learn relatively easily. There's one that I really want, but I think that one's like super hard, and that is a... Is it a koto? I always mix up koto and the other one. No, not the koto. The other one. Shamisen? Shamisen, yes. I always mix this up. Shamisen. That would be really cool, but I think the only way I would actually get a shamisen is if I visited Japan. But it's so cool. It's such a cool instrument. No koto. No, koto is too complicated, and it's like really difficult to tune it. You have to like change everything. So, but shamisen again, it has a short neck. It's closer to a violin, and but it's really expensive. So maybe not. Maybe not for a while. But yeah. So right now the goals are harp, shamisen, and huriguri. But I don't think in the next 5 years, one of them will be cool, achievable.
I know that
They take a lot of space.
Yeah, that too. Instruments are big a lot of the time, and just the care and maintenance. I know we actually had to schedule around because you mentioned earlier that you moved recently. Does your new space hopefully make it easier potentially to perform instruments that, obviously not looking for details, but whether the room being a better shape or if you have more space, better walls that you don't need to worry about bothering neighbors?
Yeah. I have luckily, I have a big enough room, and I have enough space for instruments right now. But obviously, if I went to get like everything, then maybe not. But right now it's fine. I also have a storage.
So I was gonna buy a grand piano.
Yeah, probably. Like a giant. That maybe I don't think I have enough space for a grand piano, but I think I have enough space for a harp, especially the smaller ones. There are small harps. Out there.
I know apart
Ikoto
from
has a cool manga. Yeah, that's true. Sorry, yeah.
That apart from instruments, you also enjoy doing crafting.
Yeah, it's true. I really like crafting, arts and crafts, and I like getting really fixated on new crafting ideas and then just trying it out. But I tend to jump from crafting to crafting. I don't really stick with anything, but it's so fun. I like sewing a lot, so that's my go-to crafting when I need to get some stuff done, and it's very handy too because you can fix things and make your own clothes, make bags and stuff.
Do you have any favorite pieces that you've worked on?
Well, I've made a little bean plushie. Yeah, you can make cute things. Yeah, I like that one. It's very cute. It's made out of microfiber cloth, and it has little eyes and a fleece sprout. That one I think is very cute. It's very easy. It's just like a ball, right? It's a bean-shaped ball. But I like the bean. Yeah, that's my favorite probably. And I like sewing because you can do whatever you want. It's a very long process. It's already been a year. I haven't really done anything on it, but I am currently trying to make a fumo.
Oh.
But that's kind of hard. So it's difficult to find the right fabric. I haven't really but I've tried. I'm working on it. One day, maybe Soya Poya fumo can be real. That'll be fun.
Yeah, I know that Bat actually, Moriko just realized her dream of having a fumo. Obviously, that one was not
it's so
made.
Cute.
That
It's not a fumo.
Yeah, it is technically legally not a fumo.
Legally not a fumo. Yeah, that one is really cute. It looks really cute.
Right.
Yeah,
And that one wasn't made by her, obviously. That is being manufactured, but
yeah, it's super cool. Yeah, I can't wait to see it. I mean, we've already seen it, but to see her also mess around with it, it's very
for people
cute.
to have it in their hands is going to be exciting.
I think fumos are super cute. Very, very marketable. Legally distinct.
Yeah,
exactly, that's what I was thinking of. Fumo. It's not a fumo! Oh, you can do ooh instead of you. That's true. Yeah, that would be super cool, but I don't think I would sell them because it probably takes way too long. It's the same with a bean. A bean takes... You just can't make that many. But obviously, if you have a manufacturer, then it's okay. But if you don't, I think a fumo would take too long to make at a reasonable price. But maybe I could do it as a giveaway or something like that.
Yeah,
they have to multiply one way or another.
A lot of what you do, you mentioned, is the practicality balance of possible versus worthwhile, and that extends not just to your crafts but also to your rigging.
Yeah, it's true. I think it's just I have the tendency to kind of really get absorbed in things and put way too much effort into something, that's gonna be. I do this a lot where I put too much effort into something, not in a negative way, but then it's like on stream for 10 seconds, and I've worked on it for like, I don't know, 2 weeks, you know. And so I'm kind of learning what is worth it and what isn't really worth it. And for example, when it comes to rigging, I think generally speaking, unless you have a shit ton of money and a shit ton of time, a big rotation isn't really worth it, because no one actually, like, I basically never turn this way. Like, who does that? And even people that have bigger rotations, right? They go like 180. You don't turn that far.
You don't turn that far. And what is
Yeah.
the added immersion, even as a viewer, of having 90-degree rotation versus 180 degrees? That being able to very clearly turn right and left is good. That
It's very cool.
that you want to be able to have some level of rotation. It's good to not just be full on 2D and have to sort of sway side to side to indicate direction, but at the same time, looking left at a 45-degree angle from your neck versus having your head entirely rotated and parallel with your shoulder. Like I said, nobody really does that, and that just for the amount of extra work or time or money that you're going to have to put into that, is that worth it? Or, do you need a dozen emotes if you use 3 of them primarily, and then there's this one emote that you use once a month?
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, that's kind of like just, do whatever you want. I mean, that's what I personally did. But if I look at it from like a business perspective, or, you want to be a rigger, or you want to sell rigging, I think it's important for you to be like, no, I'm not going to do that, because who's gonna spend, I don't know, because I think people are underestimating. They think like legitimately the time it takes because when you have a big rotation, you have to adjust everything, the eyes, the hair, everything. And Live 2D is getting better, so maybe in a couple months, in a couple of years, it's gonna be easier to do. But especially when I made my model, it wasn't that good yet in certain aspects, and you're exponentially increasing your workload and unironically the price. $200 per degree of turn. Would you do the rotation again for Soya 3.0? I don't know if there's ever gonna be a Soya 3.0, to be honest. And probably would, because I'm stupid. But it's like, for example, my client, I have a VTuber child in the oven, and I told her from the very beginning, yes, okay, I'll do this commission, but I'm not gonna do as big of a rotation. I told her, and she was like, okay, that's fair, right? Because I explained it to her exactly this way. It's not worth it. It takes too long. But now I started working on it. The rotation is almost as big as mine, and I'm kind of like, dang it!
You just sort of accidentally, oops.
Yeah, because you want it to look good, and then But if you don't want to make your life hell, then I'd say don't do it. But then again, I see a lot of like bigger VTubers that have a lot of funding, and then they're able to do that, and that's super cool, and I think they should do it. But it's difficult. And the same for like animations. I kind of get it. Like, I want to do a walking animation for my new outfit, but it's one of those things like, how often am I going to use it? I don't know. But I'm going to have to bring it into stream somehow if I end up doing it. I accidentally rotated too much. Yeah, I can always go back, guys. It's okay. I can always delete and copy and delete. Yeah.
For rigging, is there anything that you feel that you aren't as good as you want to be at yet? Is there a particular aspect of the process that you're looking to improve on?
I take too long.
So just efficiency.
Yeah, it is efficiency. I get a little bit perfectionist, and then the thing is with rigging, the first half, especially when you're doing the face, it looks bad because you're like, figuring out the how it's supposed to look and everything. So it's gonna look bad in the beginning, and very often if you start focusing on the little details instead of like sketching it basically, then you spend so much time, and you spend a lot of time on things that don't really get shown, or you spend a lot of time, let's say you spend a lot of time on the face structure, but then you end up having like hair that covers it all. Those type of things. Since I'm not that experienced yet, and I haven't done that many, I'm not that good at that. I spend too much time, but I've gotten better. I've already gotten faster compared to my own model, so I'll only speed up from here. I'll become a Sonic rigger, the fastest alive, maybe. Probably not. No. But I'll try getting faster.
Of just riggers over time do get faster. That as you get the practice and as you get the experience of knowing, okay, these are the settings, this is what I have to do to get this result, and that every model is going to have its variance, its level of tinkering, but as you start to hone in on best practices and sort of where do I start, what is the default, and then I can adjust and tweak things from there, that I've seen plenty of riggers go from, all right, I spent 2 weeks on this model, to I spent a week on this model, to sometimes for simple projects, I just no-lifed it over the weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not near that at all. I think even if I'm fast, even if I like actually did it, it's probably still gonna take me several months for. But obviously it depends, right? If it's like a simple model, then I would probably be faster. But if I had to redo myself, it probably would take me still like 4 months or something. It's a very slow process. I'm a little bit slow at that, but it's fun. As long as it's fun, I think
You
it's
improve.
okay.
That's just how it goes.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
One thing, you actually have it listed specifically on your Twitch channel in the panels that you really enjoy baking.
I do enjoy baking. I've done a couple baking streams. Like the whole like
Sort of a hand cam
setup. Yeah. I sadly, last time I moved, I tried, but I just wasn't able to set it up properly, like with the space that I had. And now that I've moved again, I think I'll be able to do it again. It's like something that's like in my, like, I want to do it. I really want to do it. I'm gonna do it, but it's just, you need enough space. You need like an extra table and cameras and everything.
Yeah,
and
it's
I wasn't able to do it, sadly.
a lot more setup and you need a proper environment. But I'm excited to hear that in your new space, that it's sounding like it's going to be more viable.
I think so. Yeah. I think so. I just have to get a good table or like a workstation or whatever, and everything else I still have the cameras and stuff. That I really like baking. I think it's fun because, I mean, it tastes really good. It's also it's easier than cooking, I think, because cooking is kind of like you make your food and you follow the recipe or whatever, but it's like baking is way more by the book. Like, as long as you follow the recipe, you're gonna be okay, whereas cooking, your spices might be different, your fucking heating thing is different, your pan is different. So yeah, I'm looking forward to doing baking streams again. And I was thinking, but I'm not sure about this, I've talked about this plenty of times, it would be kind of cool to do cake decoration, but like do a cake decoration but with a VTuber theme. For example, you make like a fucking, I don't know, like a piccola cake or something, and then it's like, it's like blue and has carrots and stuff. I think that would be really cute, but I don't know how realistic that is, because probably super expensive to get all the items for that.
For baking, is that something that you grew up doing, that you learned from your family, or was it something that you picked up later in life?
Yeah, I grew up with it when I was a little bean. My mother, she would always, not always, but she would often make cakes, and I was allowed to, do the easy stuff like mix. I'm gonna help, and then you sit there and you mix. That's all you do. And then later on, I kind of picked it up and took it over, and that I was always the one that would like bake the cakes and bake the muffins. And yeah, I still love it, and it's really. I don't do it that much because I don't like. I don't really have occasions to bake, because I don't eat an entire cake. I can't. Yeah. It's a bit hard. But so I've moved more to like muffins and smaller stuff and cookies and stuff. But I still remember like Christmas time was always the time where we would, make a lot of different types of cookies together, and then we would pack them into like little packages and give them around. And I don't personally do that because I don't really socialize that much. But as like a kid, I guess it's a really fun thing to do. I think it's a nice bonding time to do with family. Yeah, that's why I like that. And it tastes good. I'm not that big of a sweet tooth. I don't really like candy. I don't really like chips or snacks either, but I do like pastries. Pastries are really delicious, I think. And it's always, it's like a core memory going to like some relative and having like a specific cake they make. I think it's very fun.
What is your favorite pastry or type of cake to make? And what is your favorite pastry or type of cake to eat?
To eat? There's one cake that's really delicious, and it's called galette des rois. It's like a the holiday with the three kings. They give the saint kings. I don't know.
Christmas?
No, no. I think it's like 6th January or something, and it's like the three kings epiphany, maybe. I don't know. Well, it's a holiday, and in France they make this this like millefeuille dough, like a croissant dough, and it has an almond cream on the bottom, and then it has the croissant dough on top, and then you put the Three Kings Day. That's what I meant. And then they put like a little bead, a porcelain doll or bead, into the cake, and then whoever bites onto that becomes
cake.
king. Yeah. Thank you. Exactly. That one is my favorite to eat. I think my mother makes that one. It's very delicious. And to make, I think my favorite thing to make, because it tastes yummy, is a raspberry crumble muffins. It's like muffin, and then you put like crumble on top, and it's like cream cheese and raspberries. Or you can also use strawberries or blueberries, but the raspberries go best in my opinion. That's my favorite to make because it's very easy, very fast, and you get muffins out of it, and then you don't have to eat them all at once. You can actually like just have like 6 or 12, and
just have one a day for a week or something.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not as overwhelming. So yeah, muffins is probably my favorite thing to make. But I do like cake decoration. I like stuff that's pretty and making stuff that's pretty, and then I think I want to get more into that, this like with the cream and making like flowers and stuff. That's really fun, but it's just not, there's no real occasion. So if I did it on stream, then it would be an occasion,
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I can find like a children's school where I can give them the cake or something.
Yeah, just to make it look like a VTuber, hand over the wait, so what is this cake? Like, is this a cartoon character? Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. Just eat it. Just eat it. Shut up. It's free. Exactly. I think that's a bake a cake for every bean's birthday. That would be so cute. Then the person could like pick what color scheme and everything that they want.
For every bean's birthday, though, I guess you're only making cakes from now on.
Yeah, I mean the thing is like it's okay. I'm willing. Maybe some can share, once a week, and everyone that has birthday that week, they can share the cake or something.
Yeah, that could work. Because there aren't that many streamers that do baking specifically. That there's a couple that do cooking streams every so often, like we mentioned, but I feel like baking in particular is a niche for cooking in general, but also just for whatever reason, I feel like one that you don't see as often. I've seen, as far as I can remember, 1 or 2 cake decoration streams, that they are very rare. So I think that if it's something that you're able to set up, that people would definitely be interested in it. And if you end up doing VTuber designs, I actually think that has a lot of potential.
I think it would be really fun. For me personally, it's just always like, you have these ideas and you kind of want to do them, but I just there's so much things you want to do. For me, it's like I want to play games, and then I want to have chatting streams, and I want to do music, and I want to craft, and then you get like so many ideas, and then you kind of like get the decision overload, and then you end up doing
analysis paralysis.
Nothing. But yeah, that's definitely. I mean, I was not able to do it, so I definitely want to try maybe doing that more this year. And I hope it's fun. At the end of the day, it's an idea, and if it's not that fun to stream or to watch, then obviously it's not worth it.
Yeah.
But it could be fun. And VTuber designs are super cute and pretty, so it would be nice to like translate them to cakes.
The real difficulty would just be, do you make the icing yourself, or do you buy different tubes of icing that I'm not sure?
Yeah, you would probably have to make it yourself, I think, just because of the colors, and you would have to like match it. And also it gets so expensive if you pre-buy everything.
Yeah, that if you're making your own, you can just make a whole bunch of icing and then use different food coloring to have the variants and put them into the tubes and whatnot. My father used to really enjoy making cakes, and the problem was they looked really good, but people wouldn't eat them. That my family, as it turned out, we were very middling on cakes, and we really like brownies and blondies, and he realized he could make those in a fifth of the time, and they would be eaten more. So he stopped making cakes.
Yeah, I can imagine that. I mean, it's true, right? I've made a cake once. It's called a Baumkuchen, and okay, so you have the dough, you make the dough, and then you have the cake form, and you put like a very slim, like a 1 millimeter high layer. You put it into the oven for like 2 minutes. You take it out. You put another layer. You put it in the oven, and you do that for
Oh
like 2
my.
hours. And it's called Baumkuchen because that means tree cake, and it looks like a tree because of the rings. And it was really yummy, you know, but it took so long, and then it's just not worth it. And then, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, why are you putting so much effort into this?
Yeah.
Because
Back
it
to the
tastes good.
diminishing
Yeah.
returns, what is possible
Yeah,
versus
exactly.
worthwhile.
Yeah. Took so long to eat everything. A fondant cake. Yeah, those are nice. I don't like fondant taste that much. There's also this thing often I see those like super over designed, like pretty cakes, but they don't taste good. But because, you know, not your cake mood, that's not what I'm trying to say. But sometimes people like put more effort into how it looks, and then, you know, you have like all this marzipan and stuff, and then it just tastes like marzipan. So they might as well just eat the marzipan. But you
Yeah.
know, I guess aesthetics are important, can be important too.
Yeah. Obviously, I don't know if there's ever been a pastry or a sweet that I just didn't like, that they're going to taste good. That's part of just that space of cooking, that they're very sugary, they're very tasty, that most people are going to like them. They aren't necessarily difficult flavors to work with. And there's a lot of work that gets put into the creation, and definitely understand that, you know, not everybody is going to make a tree cake or is going to take the time to make a really fancy pastry, but it's such a interesting niche of cooking because it's a science in its own way, and with pastry dough, that it does have to be, like you said, just buy the recipe, just follow the recipe, but you need to be exact, because if you let the dough sit for a couple minutes too long, or if the way that you need the dough, like if there's too much or not enough air in it, depending on what you're making, it can end up in unexpected places.
Yeah, that's true. But even if you do mess it up a little bit, it's still gonna be fine.
Yeah, it's still going to taste
like
good.
it might be a bit tough, or
Yeah.
you know, but it's still gonna be fine. We threw the fondant away. Yeah, I've had like these like fancy fondant cakes, like, you know, at like, I don't know, birthdays and celebrations and stuff, and then you just scrape off the fondant and you just eat the cake. It ends up like that. But yeah, I think cakes are fun. I think it's also interesting how like different countries have different cakes, and
yeah, I love
it's
learning
kind of
about
interesting to see.
it's something I was actually talking about with another guest recently, just learning about different types of international cakes and pastries, because different regions and different cultures do so many interesting things with food, not just pastries, but pastries are something that I've found you see these really unique things, and that while sometimes you look at regional food and say, okay, I don't necessarily understand the appeal of this food, I feel like I always understand the appeal of international pastries, that I look at that and say, oh, I totally understand why this would taste good, or why this is something that people would want to make and eat. And I just never really thought about preparing it that way, or that the culture region I live in doesn't normally approach it that way. But I see what you did there, and I like that idea. That's cool.
I think it's nice, and it's also, you know, maybe certain food wasn't available or certain ingredients, and then they kind of like found different ways of making stuff.
Exactly.
So I think it's interesting to see, and it's always fun to try out new food. You know, like when I was younger, I would have never thought that like red bean paste, for example. I really like red bean paste.
Yeah.
I would never have thought to put like beans into something sweet, for example, right? Even though they're different. I think those type of things are really fun, and to see how different cultures have developed in that sense.
Yes. Certainly the first time I saw red bean paste, that I think of American style beans are generally savory, not sweet.
Yeah,
so
100%.
I hear, all right, a red bean paste thing, why are they putting, you know, I think of barbecue baked beans. That's what we normally have when we think of beans here in the US, or you might have black beans or pinto beans, and the concept of that in a pastry just sounded really, really weird to me. And then it was explained, no, this is a different type of bean, that it is sweetened. It's like, oh, okay, try. And yeah, red bean desserts are freaking amazing.
Yeah, they're very yummy. I think so. And cool. Yeah, it's so yummy. I like it a lot with like matcha and mochi. Mochi.
Dang it, now I'm
I
getting
like
hungry.
mochi.
We are starting to get to the end of our time. I have just a couple last questions that I ask all my guests. And the first of those is, do you have any goals for the rest of the year? We are now about halfway through August. So as weird as it is, we're starting to get to the end of 2023. But
It's over.
It's all over. But
It's
we
over.
still have a couple of months left. So is there anything that you're hoping to accomplish before the end of the year, whether it be getting a certain type of stream or beating a particular game or having a new project?
I'm not really good at planning, but I guess I just want to improve in some regards when it comes to streaming. I want to be a little bit more, like what we talked about earlier, a bit more willing to try out new games, and I want to get maybe more violin stuff and maybe more like baking stuff going. And also, I'm trying to get Soya Poya 2.0 new outfit, and I really want to try getting a 3D model, maybe this year. But it's it's difficult because it's not like you're not really the one that decides. It's the availability and stuff like that. But yeah, and then streaming goals wise, I think I just want to keep having fun and keep streaming.
Baglama concert, yep.
Baklava concept, maybe. I have to learn. I have to learn better to get better at it.
And the last question I ask all my guests is, what does being a VTuber mean to you? And that's not what does it mean to be a VTuber, but different people get different things from VTubing or approach it in different ways, have different relationships with their model, with being a VTuber. That I've had people say being a VTuber lets me get in touch with my inner child. It lets me be someone or something that I can't be in real life. I've had others who take a more clinical, pseudo-professional approach in that they say, I don't necessarily have a emotional attachment to my model, but as an entertainer, I love what my model allows me to do. And as a content creator, I would much rather have the model and be a VTuber than a face cam streamer. And both of those answers are entirely valid. There's no wrong way to be a VTuber. But in that sliding scale of things, for you, Soya Poya, what does being a VTuber mean to you?
I think for me, it's a lot of it is the social aspect. Like I grew up, I played a lot of games, but I never really had anyone to share it with. And I always wanted to, I had an older brother and we played sometimes together, but not that much. And then I always wanted, to have this like, ooh, I'm talking about something I'm excited about, I'm showing something I'm excited about, and I have my beans, my chat that I can show it to. And, for example, movie games, I would never play those on my own because I think they're stupid, but they're so fun to like play with everyone together. And that's like the main part that VTubing has facilitated for me. And also the other one is that, like I said before, I think it gives like a lot of creative things that I like doing, like music and video editing and motion design that I get to use with my VTubing being. And also I love blue and I love being blue, so what can I say? It's perfect. I enjoy it a lot, and I wanna keep streaming and having fun with everyone. And for me, yeah, I think that's the most important part, that it's enriched my life in being, having this social connection, parasocial connection, without necessarily, the drawbacks that I can have, and having a fun creative outlet for it.
I always ask that at the end of the show because I feel like, one, it puts a nice bow on things, but also, while I never know how people will answer, the answers always make sense. And even after just a couple hours of conversation, that, like you were saying, for you, the creativity, the interaction, that it means a lot to you, and that, again, makes sense. And I'm so happy that you found VTubing. I'm so happy that you took time out of your day to be here and be on the show. Thank you to everybody in chat. You all have been so fun all day. It's been really nice to just, glance over, and even if it's just people reacting with emotes, that it's very fun and
So
satisfying
cute.
and nice. And, thank you for going out of your way to be here today, because obviously,
Thank you for inviting me.
it's certainly my pleasure. Also, I realized I missed a couple of follows a while back. So Satsuki, Mello, and Peter Pan 541, thank you for the follows. Do you actually have anybody that you would like us to raid?
Oh, raid.
Well,
see.
while she looks for a good raid target, I'll just do some last housekeeping. Obviously, if you are not following Soya already, please do correct that. You have the links here at the bottom of the screen. If you're watching on YouTube, hi YouTube. The links will be down in the description. And
Hi,
if you
Vote
are,
Watchers.
yeah, don't forget to like, subscribe, click that bell, all that jazz. And if you're interested in more shows like this, that I do these about once a week. I don't have much of a consistent schedule because I do my best to schedule around my guests, but you can follow me here on Twitch and on Twitter. It's just Vtuber Talk both places.
Yes.
So
please follow
yeah.
Vtuber Talk. Thank you. It was a fun time. I thought it was nice to just have talk and chat and hang out with chat. Have a fun little, some topics that might not necessarily usually come up. I had a nice time, and I enjoy VTubing and I enjoy VTuber Talk. So I hope you keep having fun with your streams as well.
That means I did something right as a host, and I'm really glad you had a good time. Also, biggest sellout, thank you for the follow. And we have our raid target, and it's actually a past guest. It's gonna be Mimi. Yeah. So be sure to say hi to Mimi for us. Let her know that Soya sent you all. Again, thank you to everybody who's been here for even a little bit in chat. Thank you so much for the follows. And like I said, if for some absurd reason you're not following Soya, please do follow her as well. So again, thank you, Soya. Thank you, everybody who's here in chat. I will see you all next time. Have a great rest of your day and say hi to Mimi for me.